Yo, what's up, my gamers in Christ? How are we doing today? Today is the date of February 16th of 2026. How are we doing today, guys? I hope we're doing well. If you guys missed my Discord notification, we are rescheduling Rage and Resist to tomorrow just for that episode because some scheduling things didn't work out. So honestly, I don't have too much to go over today. It was mostly all about the episode for today for Rage and Resist, but I was able to look around a little bit, and I got some things to #ReactGate to. Anyways, I hope you guys are doing well. Oh damn, Benny Johnson is live right now. I love me some Benny Johnson, I can't lie. Oh, Hillary Clinton is fucked according to Asmongold. We'll have to watch that out. We'll have to watch that. Anyways, guys, it's good to see you. It's good to see you. Sorry, I'm still kind of waking up, so I'm a little scatterbrained right now. I can't lie. It shouldn't be as bad as the levels as someone like Vadim, but I am still kind of waking up, so. But for news today, excuse me. We have Jordan Peterson. You're up early? Yeah, I try to do it I'm trying to do my streams every day at 10. Unfortunately, we may not achieve that at all times, but sorry, I'm getting my ReactGate stuff ready. I also kind of woke up tired. I hate when that happens, when you wake up tired. Like you just want to go back to sleep, but unfortunately you can't, so. Why critical thinking destroys Marxism. Dude, I saw a clip by Jordan Peterson that we're going to watch, and now it seems like I'm getting nothing but Jordan Peterson clips. Isn't that nice? Oh, we got Matt Walsh. Oh, we can watch some Matt Walsh too. It's gonna be a Rightoid meme off day. Seattle, it's 8:07. Damn, it is early for you guys. Out here it's 10, so I typically wake up at 9. Anyways, I'm gonna get my nicotine, and then we should be able to get started. All right. I have my nicotine. I think we're ready to go. I think we may be ready to rumble, as a matter of fact. I think we may be ready to rumble. Anyways, I'm gonna play my Morrowind until the 10-minute mark hits. And then we can get started on our show. Anyways, it's been a very interesting time to be in US politics, just in general. So much going on with the Epstein files, and people are pissed about those, dude. I didn't realize it was such a core issue for MAGA until they started criticizing Trump over it. And it takes a lot for these guys to criticize Trump, so... Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Let me check my analytics. I don't even know if I'm in the algorithm right now. It looks like I am. That's good to hear. Yeah, we like to wait for our first dump of MAGA. I know this is a little bit off subject, but what game are you playing that I'm seeing on the screen? This is Morrowind. It's a amazing game in the Elder Scrolls franchise. And yeah. Hold on. It's a really fun game. I really enjoy it. I didn't discover it until I was probably 24, about 2 years ago now. And I like the aesthetics of the game, how it gives that PS2 feel. Big fan of the PS2 feel in games. I think we're at Peligade. Interesting fact, this was originally supposed to be randomly generated, like Daggerfall. However, old, oh, who's the head at Bethesda? I know his name. Todd Howard. Old Todd Howard said, no. We're gonna customize every part of this map. And I think they did a great job. Now obviously I have a mod installed that gives me access to more of the region. Originally the game is just this middle area. However, with mods it's added a lot of this area too, which I'm happy about because Vardenfell is a good district, don't get me wrong, but I would have loved to see in the base game more of Morrowind. It's such a cool, interesting place that you don't really see in too many other games. And I think they absolutely nailed it when it comes to like the imperialization of Morrowind. You can like tell with the designs of the buildings and stuff. It's very cool. And when I'm not just randomly running around, it's pretty fun too. Unfortunately for me, I do have a propensity just to run around in circles in video games. I don't know why, but it does happen very often. Anyways, we'll be getting started with the show here in about 2 minutes. At some point, we do need to get our community day going, our next community day, so we can have a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. I wonder if we'll get any MAGA Copers today. Here, I do need to open up my phone line. Alright, got that opened up. So now our phone line is active if anyone wants to call in and talk some smack. I invite them to. Anyways, we will probably get started on the show right about now. I think this is a good time to start. Anyways, do you guys remember Jordan Peterson? Yeah, he went crazy because of all the benzos he was on, but he apparently is still making content, and he's got a take on transgenderism. So let's hear what Jordan Peterson has to say about transgenderism. Oh my God, this is gonna be so dumb. I hate Jordan Peterson. I'm gonna be honest. I can't believe this man was thought of as a titan of intellect. This man is a fucking idiot. He fried his brains from benzodiazepines, and now he gets to pretend like he's some smarty. I would like that, but I have all these Secret Beast cards and all these Egyptian God cards and Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links and Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Masters. Well, all I'm saying is I've got a Cyber Dragon deck that may put those God cards to shame. That's all I'm saying.
I would rather have that not happen, but
All right.
in some way, people can go to hell in a handbasket if they're inclined to. Now, I would rather.
What
have
is
that
he
not
talking about right off the bat? We can have things go to hell in a handbasket if we're not careful. What is going to hell in a handbasket?
happen, but people are, what would you say, doomed to their own autonomy. But I'm not saying words that other people want me to say. And the idea of compelled speech, it's like the bill was this much about gender.
Right.
And it was this much about,
right.
oh yeah, the government's going to tell me what to say. Hey,
But
now they're regulating what therapists can say,
But see,
therapy sessions.
this is interesting because to me,
Oh my God,
problem
it's
with-
Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson? No fucking way. There's no way we got blessed with this. It's Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson. They just get together at coffee shops and talk about trans people? That's weird. What a weird setting to hold an interview, by the way.
a lot of this is less a free speech issue, even though I'm on the same page with you. And to me, it really is a fundamental truth issue, meaning that, yeah, you're trying to force me to say something I don't want to say. But to me, the fact
I don't want to say. Why don't you want to say call them by their appropriate gender, Ben? Like, why is it such an imposition? I really don't understand it. It's as if you're putting a hot iron to these sons of bitches every time you ask them to call someone by their preferred name. They're acting like we're making them condemn the Bible.
that what you're trying to force me to say is so innately opposed to the good is the problem. Like you could try. I would have objections to you forcing me to say that I like a particular movie, right? It may not be true. I don't like the particular movie. It would be bad if you tried to force me to say that. But the level of passion that I have for issues like this one really go to the fact that I think the fundamental good of humanity relies on basic acknowledgement.
The fundamental good of humanity relies on, if he says basic acknowledgement of the facts, I'm gonna lose it.
Acknowledgements of biological truth, especially.
Oh my God. Basic acknowledgement of biological truth. That's how, ladies and gentlemen, in the medieval ages, society wasn't functioning because they didn't use biological truth. What type of argument is this? It's so stupid. And it's so antithetical to their very worldview because they're the ones pushing this Christian nationalist agenda. Don't bullshit to me about truth when you guys are making children in Texas read the 10 Commandments. they're fundamentally, it's based in truth. That's what I really am concerned about, says Ben Shapiro.
to gender. And anybody who's ever dealt with children, I find myself getting, if I look at my own political evolution, I would say that when I grew up in a religious home, so that means that pretty conservative. And then you go to college and you're living by yourself and you're not married, you don't have kids. You tend to become a little bit more libertarian, which is like, okay, let everybody do whatever they're going to do and it's not going to bother me. And then you have kids and you realize that there's a pool in which we are all swimming. And that pool is going to define...
Virginia.
Exactly. Like my kid, it's going to determine how my kid...
Virginia. Frank Gozo says, "You're hurting America by opening your mouth." I don't see how I'm hurting America by practicing my freedom of speech. Can you please explain that? Anyways, what the fuck was that Virginia thing about? They talking about Virginia Dufresne, the woman who killed herself? No, it couldn't be relating to the Epstein files.
lives. And I want my community to reflect some of my values because I don't want my kid to live in the toxic sludge that you are creating for my kid. I don't want you indoctrinating my kids in bullshit about whether
yes, exactly.
a boy can be
people
a girl, or a girl
people
can be a
will say, well, I'll exceed, but not for my children.
Yeah.
And that's what Virginia demonstrated. It's like, you can come after me, but you come after my kids, and that's a whole different story.
It's so fundamentally opposed to everything true, and the fact that and that's the insistence. The insistence isn't that people be treated humanely or be treated decently. The insistence is that your vision of yourself be reflected by me in defiance of baseline reality.
Whoa. No, what they're asking is your reflection of them be your interpretation of them needs to be reflected by how society is hold on. Let me re-listen to that, because that is interesting.
And that's the insistence. The insistence isn't that people be treated humanely or be treated decently. The insistence is that your vision of yourself be reflected by me in defiance of baseline reality and in order to redefine how society as a whole works.
Well, a lot of it's...
How society as a whole works? Holy shit, Ben. You must think these trans people are fucking infiltrating the highest forms of government. Oh, they're not? There's only one trans congresswoman? Interesting. Interesting, Ben. Oh. Well, fortunately we muted
There are
it, but
gender fluid
unfortunately we
people.
have to listen to it.
I would say yes. And I would say a young man who's gender fluid, I know what he's like temperamentally. He's high in agreeableness. He's high in neuroticism.
Oh, wow. He's high in eroticism. Way to fucking just project onto people, Jordan. Wow. Somebody who's gender fluid is high in eroticism, apparently.
So he has a feminine temperament. He's more interested in...
He has a feminine temperament. Bro, what are these words? This is like... I can't believe people thought this man was a titan of thought. Listen to what the words this man is saying.
people than things. High neuroticism. So he has a feminine temperament. He's more interested in people than things.
So he has a feminine temperament. Like, what does that mean? What is a feminine temperament? I don't think that's proper medical terminology, my friend. I don't think that's proper psychology either. Would make sense because he got fired from his what's it called, medical institution. Would make sense.
Extremely high in openness. And so his temperament is fluid. He's creative, and so he's one thing one day and one thing the next. And his fundamental temperament is tilted towards the feminine. But that doesn't mean he's not a man.
Right, exactly.
So that's...
It's good to clean your room. It is weird to hate women. I agree with you. That is a good thing. I agree with you. It is good to clean your room. Unfortunately, MAGA may have some issues with that, but we can, we'll work on that. If Asmund's anything to go off of.
And then, so it's murky thinking. So
That's exactly right.
It's certainly the case that 1 out of 10 women, now it depends on where you put the cutoff, I would say, but you could say with
Professor of
reasonable
psychology in Canada? No, he's not. He got kicked out of that. No, he is very much a disgraced individual in terms of the medical community in Canada.
that 1 in 10 women has a masculine temperament, and 1 in 10 men has a feminine temperament.
Bro, what? Where did he get these numbers from? He's just 1 in 10 men have a chance. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's a lot of people. And those people, especially if they're also creative, well, they're kind of at a loss in relationship to what to do with their identity, because they're pulled. First of all, they have a hard time catalyzing their identity. Creative people.
Dude, he can't even. That's what I meant. That's what he was fired up from. Oh, got you. All right. Thank you so much, Magnus. Good to see you, by the way. I think I remember seeing you in the chat a couple times. So thanks for stopping by, gamer.
Will have a hard time catalyzing it. It's like the
I don't know why, but for some reason, every time I see your profile picture, it reminds me of a chaos dark magician.
definition of creativity. They're protean. And so have been people who play at the edges of gender identity forever. And fair enough. And sometimes that's even admirable if it's done in a sophisticated way. And it's charismatic. So you see it in Mick Jagger, you see it in David Bowie.
Whoa, Mick Jagger and David Bowie are now fucking these gender fluid, effeminate. What, bro?
See it, and you see it in people
David
like Madonna
Bowie was
as well.
badass.
Madonna had a hard edge, you know, that was very masculine. And all the Marvel superhero women have a hard masculine edge.
What are we talking about? We're talking about Marvel superheroes and how they have a masculine edge. This is why this man is disgraced.
So we find that charismatic because those people are also integrated. But the notion that there's such a thing as gender, that's not right. There's variability in personality and temperament. And the idea that, that there's no such thing.
So he just denies the existence of a word. Okay, that's easy enough to do. Wow. Why did people think this man was such a genius? I have to know.
Thing is biological sex. That's just insane.
It's insanity. They've abstracted gender from sex and then read gender back into sex.
Yeah.
It's more important than sex. It's
Well, and then why insist upon the biological modifications?
right.
If there's no such thing as sex, it's like, well, what? Then just act out.
Well, nobody is saying that. You're building a straw man that, luckily for you, old Ben is happy with. But anybody who wasn't totally captured by the culture wars would see just how stupid this is.
Your role.
Right.
Leave your body alone because it's irrelevant anyways. Well, it turns out it's not irrelevant. You have to go
But
through
they're shifting they're moving the goalposts. They're like, so they're essentially admitting right here that yes, gender is a thing. They just don't believe in that thing. Very interesting. God, these guys.
the surgical transformation, which is a pretty dramatic answer to a question that for 99%.
Yeah, classic snake oil salesman. Exactly, dude. Literally the classic snake oil salesman. Everything if you listen to me, your life will be going good.
Percent of people who are ambivalent about their gender identity would be best solved without surgical intervention.
Yep.
And then so now in Canada, because they banned conversion therapy, it's now all affirmation therapy.
Right. This
There's no such
insane.
thing as affirmation therapy.
Right. No. This.
Bro, what? He's just saying that there is such thing as affirmation therapy. It's clear to me he needed, it's clear to me why he got absolutely disgraced from Canada's psychological evaluation board. Trump is hurting America. What are we smoking here? Well, personally, I'm loading up a bowl full of marijuana, but I think you you would have to be blind to see how Trump isn't hurting America. His constant divisive language, how he constantly lies about everything, how he sends out Pam Bondi to talk about the Dow being over 50,000 instead of talking about victims of Jeffrey Epstein. I'd say those are a couple ways in which he's hurting. The economy is better. Well, you obviously haven't seen the latest BLS report. Absolutely anemic, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely anemic.
Insane. I mean, the semantic game.
Illegals are getting out? What are you talking about? Donald Trump loves illegal immigrants. That's why he's thinking about making, I think it was about 14 million of them, with canceling temporary protected status. That could be wrong. It might be a bit of a lower number, but still, you're not listening to what I'm saying. It is a proven fact for the economy. What's a proven fact? No, you're not. You're not getting the illegals out. Donald Trump is making more. What are you talking about? Carson Mueller?
Or to say, well, conversion therapy, which was at one time using electric shock to treat homosexuals.
Yeah.
And saying that that's the same thing as you have a gender-confused 12-year-old.
Look, I had a 14-year-old kid who was a client of mine, and he was in the mid.
It is not illegal to exist in America. Amen. I agree. I think we need to provide a path to citizenship for all the people here that are here undocumented. But unfortunately, the Republican Party loves to run on this issue. And if they don't run on it, they may not have much. So, unfortunately for them, or unfortunately for the American people, we have to suffer these ICE raids because they don't want to actually fix the issue.
He was a pretty creative kid.
Listen, I think the illegal immigration issue is easily solved by providing a path to citizenship for these people and taxing them a little bit extra for their first couple years they're here and then just letting them be. We make a little bit of money and these people get citizenship. I thought this was the party of financial responsibility. I thought that's the Republican. I thought it was the party of the economy. Well, if anything, they're just destroying our economy by getting rid of all this labor. We've seen it with the job report. Even Trump's own BLS was not able to lie.
Agreeable kid as well, right? And that's important. So he had a bit of a feminine temperament. That also meant he could be pushed around fairly easily. Well, there was an aggressively gay guy in his school was hitting on him and trying to convince him that he was gay. Well, he didn't know. So he wanted to talk to me about it. It's like, well, I was going to tell him. What the hell do I know about this kid?
Exactly.
And I wanted to hear what his problems were and how it might be sorted out, what he wanted. And like that's what you do in therapy, is you help people sort out their problems. Now this idea is you come to me with an axiomatic claim, whatever it is about your identity, and my job is to rubber stamp it. It's like, that's not
at all the process, my friend. Stay up, man. Lunchtime here at work. Catch you later. Hey, have a good time, man. Good seeing you, Magnus. It really was. Good luck at work, gamer.
I'm not a therapist then. So this is not only insane, this insistence. Like, I like to think of truth, untruth, and anti-truth, right? And the notion that therapists affirm is an anti-truth. Because, look, let's say you come to me and you say, you have a...
No way. I have not seen Trump doing well. Please watch what is going on in East London and say, praise God for having Trump. What's your name? You sound familiar. That guy doesn't exist. That would be my name. TGDE. Cade, as the homies call me.
proposition about yourself, and I say, no, I'm your therapist. No, that's wrong. It's like, that's not good therapy. But neither is you have a
But that's
proposition.
not the process. These decisions aren't just made willy-nilly. It's made with the... These decisions are made with a therapist and a doctor.
About yourself, and you're disturbed enough to come to a therapeutic session, and I say, yes, you're right. It's like, I don't know if you're right. And if you're so right, why are you here? Like, what are we talking about?
the
My
entire-
bad. Oh, no issue, man. I do have one of those voices that kind of gives that vibe, so I understand. Don't worry about it.
Already right.
It's a destruction of basically the only form of therapy that we know to work.
Yes.
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah.
It's all about
Oh,
saying that
so,
this.
so are the
entire-
rest of them. They're all this is one of the things that's interesting about clinical psychology. Every single school of psychotherapy is predicated on the idea that free expression of thought or the free transmutation of behavior is curative. And it's true with cognitive behavior.
The free expression of thought is curative. That's what psychology is. That's its whole basis.
Behavioral
Wow.
therapy, just like psychoanalytic therapy. It's all the same thing. And also the other axiom of therapy is voluntarily expose yourself in measured doses to what you're afraid of. And so that's an interesting thing because the psychoanalysts believed when the behaviorists first came up with exposure therapy, they had it formulated wrong. They thought you learned to be afraid. So
That's good. That's good. They had it wrong. Me, I've got it right. I'm the one who knows all.
you're normal, and then something hurts you, and then you learn to be afraid of it. That's wrong. You're always afraid, except when you learn not to. So they had it exactly backwards neuropharmacologically. And
Bro, what? I'm always afraid? Do I support Waltz and Omar? Well, why wouldn't I support Tim Waltz? Or Elon Omar? Tim Waltz found $9 billion in fraud in his state, and with the help of the Biden DOJ, indicted them.
really matters. This matters. That doesn't mean you can't learn some fears. You can, but mostly you unlearn terror. Right? So children are afraid to get away from their mother. It's because they're afraid of the entire world. Well, you have to learn how not to be. And you don't
Okay, this is so stupid.
learn that by habituation. Because that was
Never
the idea.
leer.
So you take someone who's afraid, they've been conditioned to be afraid. You expose them to what they're afraid of, and then you have them do relaxation exercises so they counter condition. Well, then it was discovered, and they don't have to do the relaxation exercises. It's like, oh, well, it still works, just exposure. It's like, well, they get less afraid when you expose them because their fear habituates. Like, so then the psychoanalyst said, well, if they get less afraid of that particular thing, the symptoms are just going to subside.
By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and gets me boosted out there in the algorithm.
That fear of an elevator, say, was reflective of a deeper fear of death. Had a client I exposed to an elevator, the doors open, she said, that's a tube. It's like, and her fantasy about the elevator was, it was a place she was gonna die in of a heart attack. Well,
This feels
people
almost
were-
like the Destiny Shapiro discussion. I don't know. This is just like some of the dumbest dribble I've ever heard.
discomforted and, what would you say, made contemptuous of her foolishness while she was suffering and dying. So social alienation and death, that was the elevator for her. So we expose her to the elevator. What does she learn? Not to be afraid of the elevator. No, no, no. She learns she can tolerate those fears. She learns to be brave. And so the psychoanalysts were they were diametrically wrong, because if you expose someone to anything they're afraid of, effectively they get less afraid of everything, right? And so that's partly why psychotherapy is curative in that manner.
He's literally just talking about exposure therapy. It's one form of therapy. What's up, Juiced Boy? Good to see you. And then on the enemy field, not really enemy field, but just kind of making a meme out of it, we've got Pierre. Now, Pierre's a big fan of me personally. He comes in here all the time, and I appreciate it.
Is that people discover that they're bigger than their fears. They don't discover that the fears are trivial.
It's wild to remember people took Peterson seriously. I know, dude. He was a titan of intellectual thought, or of anti-woke thought back in 2016. How far this man has fallen.
I think that the cult of authenticity is going to be the destruction of all psychotherapy, and then because if the cult of authenticity is that your true authentic feelings are what makes you you, then the attempt to make you brave in spite of your fears is a suppression of your fears. It's almost like a Freudian analysis of you're suppressing your sexual desire, and this is not full authenticity.
Yeah, right. Why isn't the fear you?
Right, exactly.
The authentic you.
Exactly, and I think that that's kind of where we're going. It seems like that.
That would have been a bad joke, Pierre, because Pierre, Democrats are helping America. They're the only ones fighting for these ICE reforms that most Americans want.
Yeah, well, so this movement towards unity that we were talking about, this is a place I think where like informed liberals and conservatives could meet. It's like, well, there is this authenticity, let's say, and drive for adventure. And you see that elevated to the highest place in some sense in the more careless Disney movies. But
the careless Disney movies. Damn these Disney movies. Damn them to hell. They're indoctrinating our kids. I swear, I don't know what it is. I have no idea. Hey, Carts, we're nice to Kayla out here. She's one of our biggest members. Democrats are not helping America. They are destroying America. No, they're helping America. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I just gave you one of the ways we're helping America, but we're also fighting to lower affordability. We're fighting for decreased healthcare costs. What do the Republicans even represent these days?
the full manifestation of that in an integrated sense is the drive towards authenticity inside this higher order unity. It has to be, because otherwise it's disuniting. It causes fragmentation and chaos. And so it has to be subordinate to a higher order end. And then you might say, well, what is that? Part of that's the reciprocal altruism that the evolutionary biologists are always on about. It's like some for you, some for me, some for you, some for me, in measure, right? And that makes both of us richer. And so that's part of the higher order unity, and people are intensely...
I'm pro-President Trump. He's doing a good job. How is he doing a good job with these Epstein file releases? I don't think that's a very good job. And I disagree about your assertion in Democrats. The ultra-liberal left have gone beyond socialist and communist. You realize what you just said there, right? Liberal? I think communism and socialism is cringe, bro. I don't know what you're on.
altruistic.
That's great.
It's good.
Actually, if I can get a re-up on something, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. And so it's authenticity in the service of what? Now, when Pinocchio becomes real, he's already rescued his father, right? So he's established an accord with the tradition that gave birth.
You're not okay. What's going on in California is not equal to what's happening in Congress, my friend. I know you guys just want to talk about California, but let's talk about the entire nation for a little bit. Yes, California is an expensive place to live because so many rich people live there. Yes.
Already. He's revitalized that. So when he wakes up, he's not free. He doesn't have any strings on him anymore, but he's already existing in a harmonious relationship with his father, which is a big deal. And one of the lovely things about what happens to me as a consequence of my lectures is that lots of fathers and sons come up to me and say, we've really worked out our relationship. It's like, and they're both like...
I don't support the Epstein files, but that's the one thing. Well, that's a big one thing, my friend. That is a big one thing, you know? It's like, well, he may be implicated, or he may be protecting pedophiles that abused over 1,000 women, but at least the economy is chugging along. All commies and PDF files hate Trump? No, PDF files love Trump. What are you talking about? Him and Jeffrey were best friends.
You never seen smiles like that. It's really something to be stopped on the street and to be told.
Bro, he's starting to cry randomly. Dude, there's something wrong with this man. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're gonna cut poor Peterson off here before he embarrasses himself even more. JPP, go check him out if that interested you. Anyways, this is an absolutely amazing show. They were best friends. You have a green screen? I don't know what that means. But if you want the fact that they were best friends, here. I mean, I don't even have to look for photos. Like, look, he's showing him off. Oh, look at that. That's cool, isn't it? I love the way those 5-year-olds look. This is Donald Trump. I love the way they look. Let's see. Oh, here's another one. This is my girlfriend, Melania. I wish you well, Ghislaine. I wish you well. Poor Jeffrey. He went to the island high up in the sky. Host is definitely a pedo in an echo chamber. Yeah, that's why I'm allowing you to type in. That's what I would call an echo chamber, ladies and gentlemen. Also, what is it with MAGA and projecting? I swear to God, you guys are showing yourselves every time you accuse someone else. It's very sad. I think the fact is they know Donald's a little bit of a pedo, and so they have to cope with thinking everybody's a pedo. But I've got news for you, friends. That's only your boy. I'm not into that. Good Trump imitation. Thank you. I appreciate that. I worked very hard on it. I'm a socialist. I don't really like any of them. Well, I appreciate like the further left parts of our party. Yet they won't debate. Yeah, that's kind of something. They like to they won't debate, they won't call in, they won't join the Discord. All they're able to do is just be keyboard warriors, and at some point you have to cut it out.
I'm joined now by Republican Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky, who helped lead the efforts to release the Epstein files. Good morning to you.
I agree, Pierre. I agree. That's why Crow won. He's exposing himself. You expose yourself every time you accuse.
Congressman, I would like your overall reaction to the hearing this week and Pam Bondi's performance, combativeness.
Can you guys hear okay? It sounds a little quieter on my side.
I don't think she did very well. She came with a book full of insults.
Amen. Redact Trump's entire corrupt existence. Well, here's the thing. While it is shocking how incompetent they are, it is going to take a lot to build trust back in the public that's been lost here. It really is. I think it's possible, but we've got a long road ahead of us. Because the way Trump is acting is going, luckily they're incompetent, but what happens if somebody who isn't incompetent gets into power? Someone who doesn't shit their pants while holding a press briefing. Then we might have an issue.
One for each congressperson. She obviously had one for me. And, you know, I've been there when Merrick Garland is there.
Get
Obviously,
rich deprogramming the maggots. Hey, that's the dream, isn't it? That's the dream. You know, and I don't hate all Trump supporters, you know. I think they've been sold a giant fucking lie, you know? And I feel bad for them for believing all these lies, you know? So I do want to provide a bridge to get off the Trump train. And I know a lot of people are different about that, feel differently, but my politics have always been based in forgiveness and kindness and empathy. So I try to I want to try to get them back, you know? Pity the gullible. Yeah, I'm much more angry. If you want my true anger, it's at the people that perpetuate lies and make up the lies. People like Donald Trump. People like Pam Bondi. And then on the creator side, people like Benny Johnson. People like Tim Pool. Those are the people that I'm mad at. It's not necessarily the Trump supporters. I will say right wing has been lying for a while, and it's people to keep many votes against their best interest. I do find it, you know, it's kind of heartbreaking, you know, because I live in a small town. It's a red city, and I just see how democratic policies could help so much, and yet they vote in the red. But I think that's changing. I think you will start to see something different here soon. Libtards! Libtards! Thank you.
politically, I don't agree with him, but he performed much better in terms of at least not looking bad. And unfortunately, we didn't get the answers we wanted about the Epstein Files Transparency Act from her.
Did you get any of the answers you wanted?
No, but she did come off her script and engage with me about this production of documents, where she admitted that 40 minutes after I pointed out to the DOJ that they had over-redacted some of the documents, they did unredact those documents. So it's clear they've made mistakes in the document production. At least she acknowledges that tacitly. And it's clear that their work is not done here yet.
And I want to go to some of those unredacted files. You and Congressman Ro Khanna said names of some of the men who were redacted shouldn't have been redacted. They then sent that back to you.
Well, I don't blame Baga. I don't blame MAGA for soying out right now. They will do anything but talk about the Epstein files. They will do anything but talk about the Epstein files. Imagine voting for a dude that bangs couches and feeling good about it. Oh yeah. That poor couch. You know, where are the couch files? That's what I'm wondering. While I play Pokemon Legend of Arceus? Hey, I hope you have a good time with that. Bill Clinton, Howard Lutnick. Here, we can play. Let's play this game. I bet I run out of less before you do. I bet you run out first. Let's talk about Bill Clinton. Well, Bill Clinton said he was okay with testifying in front of the public. It's the House Republicans that have an issue with it. Isn't that interesting? Now let's talk about Howard Lutnick and how he lied about his relation to Jeffrey Epstein.
And two of them were not redacted. But on Friday, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche accused you and Congressman Khanna of unmasking those people, saying they had nothing to do with Epstein or Maxwell. They were from an FBI lineup years ago. What's your response to that?
Well, 3 hours before Todd Blanche himself unredacted those names, I told him in an X post, which I know he read because he reposted it, that
Oh, he didn't want to talk about Howard Lutnick. He didn't want to talk about Howard Lutnick. Oh, isn't that sad? Yeah, they got Bubba derangement syndrome.
those may be men in a
Yeah,
line.
if Clinton is guilty, take him away. But you can't say that for Howard. You won't say that about Trump. It's embarrassing.
Lineup. And then I went on TV and said those may be men in a lineup. And it was actually the DOJ who released those names, which is fine, but they omitted the context that I provided.
Fuck
which
Bill
is-
Clinton, but for real, who gives a shit about Bill Clinton, right? They want to talk about anything other than the current sitting president because they know he looks bad in it. I could care less about Bill Clinton. Then why are you talking about him? Your past 5 posts have been about Bill Clinton. I could care less about Clinton. You've got Bubba derangement syndrome, my friend.
is these may be men in a lineup. Now, there were 2 men who needed to be named, one of whom has already resigned. The emirate, who's a sultan, resigned as a CEO of a very large company because we released his name. And there's another man, Leslie Wexner.
Oh, here's some other cope. If Trump was guilty, Biden would have released the files. That's totally not true. Number one, we did release names in the Epstein files. You guys must have forgotten the flight logs that were released. But number two, there was an active investigation going on during Biden's entire presidency. However, that was ended after Pam Bondi put out a 2-page memo during the Texas floods.
I'll add him to the list with Jess Staley and Leon Black, who need to be investigated right now. They've appeared in these files. Leslie Wexner is the one who, Pam Bondi said, oh, he's appeared thousands of times in these documents. We're not covering up anything. But I pointed out to her, they redacted his name from the one document that says child sex trafficking co-conspirator. And my question is, who is the person at DOJ who redacted Leslie Wexner's name from a document titled child sex trafficking with co-conspirator next to his name?
Well, now hold on, Thomas. Haven't you heard the recent cope? These are victims of blackmail. That's their next cope, ladies and gentlemen. I've heard it. I've heard rumblings in the MAGA discords that I am in. That's gonna be their next cope. These are blackmailing victims. So embarrassing.
I want to say right now that Wexner denies, and they say he was not a co-conspirator. Wexner has a statement. The assistant U.S. attorney told Mr. Wexner's legal counsel in 2019 that Mr. Wexner was neither co-conspirator nor target in any respect.
Poor
Mr.
Patrick. He's got to fight. He's got to fight the straw man that he's built up inside of his head instead of engaging with reality. Poor guy. He got hit with so many facts and logic that he crumbled. Oh. Hopefully they write poems about you in the future, man. That's a sad death.
Cooperated fully by providing background information on Epstein and was never contacted again.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I'd like to...
It's blackmail. Exactly, bro. Blackmail of what? Yeah, exactly. 10 whole viewers. Well, that's amazing. Thank you guys so much for enjoying this stream. That means the world to me. If you guys are enjoying, please remember to like and subscribe. Speaking of Hot Pockets, I need one. Amen. I love Hot Pockets, bro. They're delicious.
Move on if we can. Yesterday, the DOJ sent Congress a letter explaining the reason for all these reactions. So you are not satisfied with that?
No, they're citing deliberative process privilege in order not to release some of the documents. The problem with that is the bill that Ro Khanna and I wrote says that they must release internal memos and notes and emails.
Oh my God, we're going all the way back to freeing the slaves, ladies and gentlemen. You're just doing sun god stuff. You're doing sun god stuff, my friend. If I go far enough back in anything, if I go far enough back in America's history, we loved the king. You know, like, come on, bro. Let's talk about now. Let's talk about the now. What's happening right now?
About their decisions on whether to prosecute or not prosecute, whether to
I agree.
investigate or
ICE
not
does have to
investigate.
go.
It's important they follow that, because then we could find why they didn't prosecute Leslie Wexner. What was the decision tree there? And also why in 2008 they gave Jeffrey Epstein such a light sentence. And finally, I know the DOJ wants to say they're done with this document production. The problem
No,
is they've
some
taken
dumb is
down-
just smoking. Some dumb is just speaking facts right now, my friend. Straight and utter facts. Oh, we've got some cope from Malakath, the god of rape. That's within the Elder Scrolls lore, by the way. I'm not calling him a rapist. That's just what Malakath is. So, host is so bad faith and a sanctimonious piece of garbage, borderline narcissistic. I can't state enough how awful this person is. Wow, I thought we were friends. I can't believe that. Wow. That just breaks my heart, ladies and gentlemen. I thought me and Malakath were friends. Damn, Steph is just speaking facts and logic here.
documents before we were able
Obama
to go over
deported
to
more
the
people, and he did it legally and efficiently. Now, ICE's goal isn't efficient deportation, it's to create a spectacle of cruelty that will rile up racists and create division. A fucking men, dude. That's a good one.
DOJ and look at the unredacted versions. They
That's a
took
good
down
way to phrase it, I should say.
some of the most significant documents, two of them involving Virginia Giuffre's case and other things. The picture of Epstein in a room.
Where was your
you got
ICE
CIA
outrage 10 years ago when Obama did the exact same thing? Well, number one, I was probably 16 at the time, so it didn't quite... I wouldn't even been 16. This would have been 15 years or even more ago. Number two, he did it legally, and he didn't go down... he didn't do roving patrols.
written on the boxes. That's been taken down. We want to be able to look at all these files. They can't keep those documents down after they've already produced them.
I want to talk to you about one of the moments in the hearing.
Yeah,
and
ICE
that
is dangerous, dude. We can't. That's why I am totally behind the government shutdown that's happening right now. I'm completely behind the partial government shutdown for DHS, because they need to be held accountable. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, you know? Patrick is fighting. I don't know if Patrick knows what he's fighting right now.
is the Attorney General would not look at the Epstein survivors.
And yeah, there were
behind her.
protests to what Obama did with ICE. I think it was a lot more legal. But there was opposition to it.
Did that surprise you?
I think that was kind of cold on her part. I think she was afraid to. And look, these survivors would love to have a meeting. It's not about Bill Clinton and it's not about Donald Trump. This Epstein Files Transparency Act was about getting these survivors justice. We've got some degree of transparency, but it's called the Department of Justice, not the Department of Transparency. And so what these survivors need, they need to see some of their own 302 forms, which haven't been released. And they also need to see some of the men that they've implicated.
That's what I'm saying. We need these 302 forms. That's what hasn't been released that we need. Because that would list the names of the co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein. Trump likes protecting pedophiles. I got it. Malakath is the god of orcs, and the task claim to love Elder Scrolls but doesn't know the lore and just wants to call me a rapist to smear me. Well, we have Hassan and approve of pedo. I don't love Hassan. And my bad. I think I may have been wrong. I think I may have confused Mehrunes Dagon for Malakath. I apologize. Malakath is the Aldari that got ate and shit out by Azura. My bad. I apologize. So he is the god of shit. I apologize. You are the god of shit, not the god of rape. I apologize.
Do you still have confidence in Pam Bondi as Attorney General?
I don't think Pam Bondi has confidence in Pam Bondi. She wasn't.
By the way, if you guys are
enough to
enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out.
Engage in anything but name calling in a hearing. And so, no, I don't have confidence in her. She
Elder
hasn't
Scrolls is
got any
fucked
sort of
up. Oh yeah, Elder Scrolls is major fucked up, dude. I apologize though. I did, you know what? Right when I said it, I had a bit of an inkling like, you know what? Maybe I might be wrong about that one, because then I thought about Mehrunes Dagon and how he's the god of destruction, and then I realized, oh shit. So, you know what? I was wrong about that. Shout out to Malakath, god of shit, for telling me what's up. LGBT are hurting America. Jesus, Vernon. Coming in strong with a strong claim today. Well, I don't think we're hurting America. I think we're part of the American fabric, my friend. We have a long and rich history inside of this country, so... How do you know R&R? Yeah, it got moved to tomorrow because of some scheduling things. But we should be good for tomorrow. Sorry about that. I made a post in the Discord, but it had to get moved to later. But I'm off tomorrow, so we'll have a extra long episode regardless. So that's exciting. Roger. Hey, what's up, Mud Butters? Good to see you. Mud Butters, my bad.
Accountability there at the DOJ. When I asked her specifically who redacted Leslie Wexner's name from the one document that mattered, she couldn't give me an answer. She wouldn't give me an answer. But ultimately, it's her who is responsible for the document production, according to our law. The Attorney General. It's not Todd Blanche. It's not the people below them.
I'm absolutely wrong. Who invented the computer? Dipshit. Come on. Yeah, long history of draft Dodgers becoming president. Yeah, wrong about what, dude? He's trying to say I'm wrong about the LGBT having a long and storied history. Let's go. The Mages Guild supply chest refresh every week. That's exciting.
Tasks to people, but you can't assign your responsibility.
And just very quickly, if you will, you've supported most of what Donald Trump has done during his presidency.
Vernon's first post got auto-hidden?
With these files, he is supporting
well, he was talking about how the LGBT don't belong in America. You know, basic scumbag shit.
Opponent and has waged very personal attacks on you. I know we just have a few seconds here, but just your reaction to that.
Look, this is about the Epstein class. The people who are funding the attacks against me, they may or may not be implicated in these files, but they were certainly
There's
rubbing
no way
shoulders
the
with the people.
LGBT can be part of society, except for the fact that we have contributed to a lot of inventions, we've contributed to a lot of the culture, but there's no way Al Gore.
People who are in these files. They're billionaires who are friends with these people, and that's what I'm up against in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump told us that
Molag Bal? Hold on. I don't think so. I don't think so. He's the god of submission. But I don't think he's necessarily the god of rape.
even though, you know, he had dinner
I'm
with these
sorry
kinds
about, okay, I'll admit it.
of people in
Maybe
New York
it's not
City
as up
and
to
West
date
Palm
as
Beach, that he would be transparent.
it used to be,
but he's
okay?
not. He's
I'll
still in with the
I'll
Epstein
watch
class.
some
This
lore
is
videos today. How about that? I'll watch some lore videos today.
the Epstein administration, and they're attacking me for trying to get these files released.
And again, I'm going to say President Trump has not been accused of anything criminal here. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Congressman. We appreciate it.
But hey, if all I'm wrong about is Elder Scrolls lore, I think we're doing well. I think the best way to round up LGBTQ would be to host an RNC convention. You'd break the Grindr servers if you did that. Has Massey gone on a right-wing network lately? I haven't seen him on one recently. It's kind of hard to when they Molag Bal is the king of rape. God damn it. I said Mehrunes Dagon and it's Molag Bal. I'll never be a scholar with this at this rate. Anyways, if you guys didn't see, AG Bondi is saying that all of the Epstein files have been released. So let's look into this. True, Mega did crash the gay dating app Grindr by flooding it with traffic during CPAC and then again during Charlie Kirk's memorial. Well, hey, sometimes you just gotta let loose at the Charlie Kirk memorial. It's what Charlie would have wanted.
In a letter to Congress on Saturday, Attorney General...
Yeah, LGBT has to leave the country, but the Epstein class can stay. Exactly, dude. They're okay with protecting the Epstein class because their favorite person is inside of it.
Pam Bondi announced the Justice Department...
By the way, sorry, let me turn this up. The Epstein class, killer name.
Released all of
Killer
those
name
files,
convention.
claiming it had fulfilled its obligations under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. That's a little bit up for debate. The letter also outlined its justification for the redactions made in the released files, explaining they were limited to victim privacy, including personally identifiable information and medical details. Republican Congressman Thomas Massey of Kentucky, who led the charge to pass the Epstein Files Transparency Act, along with Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna, was asked yesterday about this new reasoning from DOJ.
Hey, what's up, Chad? Good to see you. But remember, they're all a hoax. The files aren't real. Like, this was the same man who was saying that, and now they're all surprised about the Epstein files, like, not being what they wanted. It's insanity to me. Much better than the donor class. I think Linda came up with that one. The donor class. Oh, yeah. That's a Cenk original right there.
Jay, watch.
Oh, there's no way this is all the files. Definitely not. I mean, I say it all the time. We still don't have the full picture of who Jeffrey Epstein was. There are still questions about how he got a lot of his money, how he came into contact with a lot of these. There's still questions that need to be answered.
Yesterday, the DOJ sent Congress a letter explaining
We're not castrating kids and pushing trans ideology in schools, Malakath. Come on now.
the reason for all these reactions. So you are not satisfied with that?
No, they're citing deliberative process privilege in order not to release some of the documents. The problem with that is the bill that Ro Khanna and I wrote says that they must release internal memos and notes and emails about their decisions on whether to prosecute or not prosecute, whether to investigate or not investigate.
Do you still have confidence in Pam Bondi as Attorney General?
I don't think Pam Bondi has confidence in Pam Bondi. She wasn't confident enough to engage in anything but name-calling in a hearing.
Oh, shit. I didn't mean to
We begin
do
with
that.
the latest developments surrounding.
Oops. But, what was I saying? Though shout out to Kalinda. Yeah, shout out to Kalinda. But you meant Ro Khanna. Got you. Sorry, I kind of got distracted by something. I
Because of
apologize.
client-attorney privilege. Who's the client and who's the attorney? That also wasn't a reason why they could redact.
Yeah, in the literal
in the
law.
literal law. And
Yeah.
some of the redactions that they've done, they kind of explained why, but they were supposed to, according to lawmakers who wrote the law, explain each redaction, right? Maybe that's coming soon.
The trans radicals. I missed that last part of it. What is a trans radical, my friend? Please explain to me how the trans radicals have affected you personally, please.
Soon at some point, but with Pam Bondi saying,
Yeah, same here. I wanted to be a millionaire, but unfortunately, or a billionaire, but I'm just not a pedo, so I had to drop out of that.
finito, that we have fulfilled our obligation with this list of
That's
300
okay.
folks.
There's
You know,
plenty of room
Beyonce's
in the
on there. There's,
millionaire.
You know, Marilyn Monroe is on there. There's a bunch of dead people on there. People,
Elvis.
people whose names were in tweets that got picked up and they threw it on this list, kind of a poking their eye at Congress as she did this week.
Yeah.
I think what's really interesting here and concerning is that both the White House, the DOJ, have not really focused on the victims. Right? They have not taken that aspect of it seriously. We have talked to a lot of survivors on our show. I know you guys have as well. And every time they have felt that this DOJ, this administration, and administrations past have never done them right. They have always
A trans
ignored-
radical is trans for everybody, which I think the entire left, of course, believes. Very true. Yes, we believe in transing your dog, actually.
them. They have put them to the side, and that is only going to continue. What happens next is more of this, I think. More members of Congress begging for more information and not getting it.
And this is also why
I'm an ill element. Dude, I love that. I'm going to make that my slogan from now on. I'm an ill element. That's sick, bro. Fuck yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think it's so important that we've seen these parallel
What
tracks.
does trans
Yes,
for
Congress
everybody
is the initial
mean?
genesis of this law that pushed for compulsion.
I
and
don't know.
transparency
It's just
here.
something
But
Donald
that's just
Trump
one side
said
of
once.
this equation. The other side is that the House Oversight Committee is still doing their investigations. It's not moving as quickly as some people might like. There are questions about partisanship on the part of the Republican majority, who they're subpoenaing, why they're not rushing to subpoena, for example, key members of the administration like Howard Lutnick, who are mentioned in the files, who had some kind of a relationship with Epstein. Nothing to say of the president himself. That's even a bigger fish that they will have to at some point figure out how they square, getting Bill Clinton but not Donald Trump. I digress. These are all questions I ask James Comer on a pretty regular basis. But now does this tilt the focus to, okay, if DOJ is actually done, do you now have to just rely on the committee and the slow plotting work that they're doing?
They have to rely on the committee, and more importantly, they're going to have to rely on Democrats on the committee kind of being sly and sometimes tricking their Republican counterparts to do things. And frankly, at the end of the day, they might have to wait when Democrats actually have the gavel. If that happens at the end of 2026, if they flip the House, then 2027 is going to look a lot different when it comes to
No
these
if
Epstein
about
files.
that. We're
And
flipping that. We're flipping that, bad girl. The only genders are female and male. Dude, go back to 2016. You know what I mean? Nobody's talking about that right now. We're talking about Jeffrey Epstein the fact that he had a huge connection with some of our political elite. Now, if you think that gender warrior and pronoun shit is the most pressing issue right now, I don't know what to do with you, man. I don't know. You gotta wake up.
I think Democrats have already started saying we're putting folks on notice that's going to change, but they have to win first.
Yeah, they have to win first. And I've been doing some reporting on the fascinating dynamics of the way that they are trying to use Epstein as sort of a way in to some skeptical MAGA voters that might have felt lied to by members of the Trump orbit. They promised transparency. That's not what they're getting. And so Democrats are trying to use this and use it as a way to talk about other economic
Almost all of Vernon's posts are being hidden. Yeah, because he is an unfortunately very hate-filled individual. But we're working on that. We're working on that. Slowly but surely. The funny thing about the two gender edgelords is that has nothing to do with like 70% of trans people who are binary. Oh yeah, I know. But you see, they're trying to associate the gender with the PP and the JJ. So
issues or systems that work for the
and that's all
haves
they really think about. So, feel bad
versus
for
the
them.
have-nots. This is sort of a larger underpinning that I think we'll be following over the course of the next few months on the road to the midterms. Want to dig in a little bit more on this, too, with former litigator and MS Now senior legal reporter Lisa Rubin. Lisa, thanks for joining us to start the day. I know you've been reporting on this all weekend. We were texting about it a little bit on Saturday. And I think the thing that stood out to me in your reporting is the way that you're talking about this deliberative
I wish I did stuff. I'm envious of you, man.
Process privilege that the DOJ is trying to cite here. Why does it not count? Why does it not work?
Well, Ali, one reason it doesn't work, and Congressman Massey was talking about this over the weekend on some of the weekend shows, is it's not a part of the bill. So let's start there. Congress sometimes does, sometimes doesn't recognize various privileges and immunities that parties, including the Department of Justice, will use to try and withhold or redact documents. But when they wrote the Epstein Files Transparency Act, Massey and
I know.
Congressman
It's like
Khanna
this guy, it's like they didn't get the update that they can't run on the keeping the men out of women's bathroom thing because they are protecting people who did far worse than that. They're protecting actual pedophiles, not some theoretical pedophile that could exist if given enough time and space.
provided for a bunch of different reasons that files could be redacted or withheld, and privileges weren't one of them. It's as if the Department of Justice has sort of inserted the Freedom of Information Act and dropped it right into the Epstein Files Transparency Act. And just to zoom out for a second, the Freedom of Information Act is a federal law that allows people to essentially act as their own private litigators and try and get documents from the federal government. Oftentimes, the government can withhold or redact those on the basis of different grounds, including the deliberative process privilege. That's a privilege that's meant to protect internal deliberations. But nowhere in the Epstein Files Transparency Act is there a provision made to redact, much less withhold, documents on those bases, Ali.
And so is that enough for Congress to be able to make another run at this through DOJ? And what is the mechanism for that? Because we've had multiple moments, including this one, where a law is on the books that seems to be ignored by the White House or key members of the administration. And the next question is always, okay, so what do you do about it? What is the enforcement mechanism when it comes to full release of the Epstein files?
Well, there are sort of two things.
I do need to use the restroom, so I am going to let this play and I will be right back.
We can think about. One is the House Oversight Committee had already had a subpoena out to the Department of Justice well before the Epstein Files Transparency Act was ever in play. And the House is within its rights to try and enforce that subpoena. That subpoena doesn't necessarily call for widespread disclosure to the public in the form of a searchable database that we have now, but they can and likely will try to enforce that subpoena. But let's go back to your more fundamental question about the mechanism for enforcing the Epstein Files Transparency Act. It's a really sticky one, and there's a reason that members of Congress have tried to sort of go around it and get the judges who oversaw both Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's criminal trials to act as an enforcer here. It's because written into the act is no enforcement mechanism. There's no way for the survivors, much less Congress itself, to try to go to court to enforce this, unless and until both bodies of Congress sort of in their totality agree that they're going to sue DOJ. It's going to be really hard for people like Massey and Khanna, or even their entire committee, to run to a court and ask for further enforcement and compliance with the act, Allie.
Yeah, you're bringing up two really sticky potential paths going forward, because on the one hand, I've had multiple members of the House Oversight Committee come on and say to me, hey, we've had the subpoena hanging out there to DOJ since last summer and still not been fully complied with. So that's just one avenue that there are already complaints about. And they were hoping, frankly, that the Epstein Files Transparency Act would fix the need for them to have to continue pursuing that subpoena. Obviously, that's not
what's
the case.
up?
And then, of course, you look at the other thing that you brought up there, the idea that there might
Chad is a gamer, by the way.
have to be some kind of unanimous or at least hugely
They're neither male nor female. They're a gamer.
bipartisan vote to compel something from DOJ. And if it was this hard to get something done through Congress the first time on just the Epstein Files Transparency Act itself, which took months, that is going to be a very tough road to hoe, especially in a midterm election year.
Some of those files make it seem like they were eating kids. Yeah, it's pretty disgusting shit in the file, dude. I won't lie. Kind of shocking, honestly, how horrifying some of this stuff is. This stream needs to be off. Boot it out of here. We don't like the stream. Well, unfortunately for you, Vernon, there's this thing called the freedom of speech. And it allows me to say whatever I want to. You are a disease? No, Steph is a gamer as well. Steph is a gamer, dude. I'm sorry you don't know what that means, but for the true Americans, we know exactly what it means.
Lisa Rubin, thank you, as always, for your reporting. And Lisa and I often talk about, when we talk about the Epstein issue, as the court of law and the court of public opinion. And it's on that second court that I want to focus, because there's two other notable headlines I want to get to related to the Epstein files. Veteran Hollywood talent agent Casey Wasserman is selling his agency amid growing controversy over his ties to Jeffrey Epstein and convicted accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell. Wasserman made the announcement in a memo to staff on Friday. Recently released files by the DOJ include email exchanges from 2003 that the Wall Street Journal describes as, quote, flirtatious between Wasserman and Maxwell. Wasserman told staff he felt he had, quote, become a distraction to the firm's work. The decision to sell his agency also comes after the departure of several high-profile talent from his firm. Wasserman, though, is chair of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. And according to the Journal, the committee organizing the games last week voted unanimously to keep him as chair. That's according to people familiar with the situation. And finally, chief legal officer at Goldman Sachs and former Obama White House counsel Kathy Rummler has announced she's leaving that firm. Rummler cited media attention over her past correspondence with Jeffrey Epstein, saying it had become a, quote, distraction. Yes, we're using that word a lot. The DOJ's recent release of Epstein files revealed that Rummler exchanged dozens of friendly emails with Epstein over the years, including after his 2008 conviction, calling him, quote, sweetie, Uncle Jeffrey, and writing, quote, well, I adore him. It's like having another older brother. Emails also show Epstein's assistant confirming luxury gifts for Rummler, including a designer bag. Rummler's spokesperson said the documents are consistent with Rummler's longstanding explanation that she knew Epstein through shared legal clients while working as a criminal defense attorney. I mean, this is, I think, the way that accountability is probably going to happen, right? Especially as DOJ is stonewalling the potential for any further release. There's open questions about if there would be any further prosecution, which then squarely leaves the court of public opinion, which, look, is messy because we have a system of justice in this country where you are innocent until proven guilty. And yet, that's where this is driving.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, people like Wasserman, they still have all their money. You know, he's going to be fine. Rumbler's going to be fine, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah.
So the court of public opinion is about people saying, you know what, this is not what we're accepting, right? And you're right, it is sticky because being in these files does not mean that you did something wrong. Marilyn Monroe, another person, probably did not do anything wrong with Jeffrey Epstein, we can assume. But when you look at what not just Democrats have been asking for, but also more importantly, Republicans, and most importantly, MAGA Republicans, they have been saying, we want to see some heads figuratively roll around here because of the conversations folks were having with Epstein, especially people who were having conversations and interacting with him after he was found guilty of some of these things. And when you look at Wasserman, it didn't happen because, like, you know, all of a sudden he woke up. Chappell Roan, one of the most famous people that was on his, you know, that was on his list of folks, said, I'm leaving. People started leaving his firm. So he did become a distraction. But at the end of the day, what the survivors have been asking for, what members of Congress are asking for, are actual people in court. I don't know that that's actually ever going to happen when you look at statutes of limitations, though there's a bill that they're hoping to change some of that. But it's going to be a long road ahead.
Yeah, and the wheels of justice turn slowly, which is good because it's deliberative. But at the same time, it has been decades of this open question around this orbit.
Yeah, just that's I think it's going to be quite a while before we actually get a real justice for these victims. Anyways, I kind of don't have much else to talk about today. I really haven't, like I said, today was supposed to be Rage and Resist, so I mean, we could watch the Barack Obama interview if you guys want. I thought it was amazing. I thought he did a good job talking to the American people, but we can also check out some other news if you guys would like. If we ever get justice, yeah. I think we will. I think we will. Honestly, what could really happen is I think a Democrat could run not just on the Epstein files, but could definitely run as like an issue. Because we are uniquely in the position to say, we won't fuck it up this time. If you have time, I have a vid for you. Yeah, sure. Epstein to be created? Hell yeah, I'm down to watch that. That sounds interesting. Send it in the stream suggestions in Discord. Hold on. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking to me. Did Obama really say aliens are real? Yes, he did say aliens are real. He did indeed. Well, while we're waiting for the video from Chad, we can keep watching.
It is my honor to be joined by the 44th President of the United States, Barack Obama. Mr. President, thanks so much for joining me.
It is wonderful to be here, Brian. Thank you.
Most popular politician in America right now, folks. Do not let Trump fool you. It's this man.
For having me.
So as you know, better than anybody, the discourse has devolved into a level of cruelty that we haven't seen before. What was disqualifying just a few years ago now not only feels fine, acceptable, but actually rewarded. You have administration officials saying that the victims of ISIS aggression are domestic terrorists. You have J.D. Vance coming out and saying that it's okay. You don't have to apologize for being white. Just days ago, Donald Trump put a picture of your face on an ape's body. And so again, this is kind of, we've seen the de-evolution of the discourse. How do we come back from a place that we have fallen into?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to recognize that the majority of the American people find this behavior deeply
Your brain won't let you see what Epstein really was, but yeah, I did have this, but God, it's always such a slog to watch these rightoids, dude. It really is. All right, let's look it up. There we go. First result. Here we go. Barry Economics. What up, gang?
Right, Epstein, take two. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm exhausted.
You're running a massive Epstein cover-up right out of the Department of Justice.
Here are some of the most shocking emails that have emerged which relate to Lord Mandelson.
Trump's name appears more times in the Epstein files than God's name appears in the book about God.
Why?
Dude, that was a crazy factoid. That was a crazy factoid. Trump's name appears more times in the Epstein files than God's name in the Bible, dude.
Am I obsessively, why are we all obsessively looking for these monsters? Like it's a wobbly, painful tooth that you just can't stop touching.
Was Epstein a Mossad agent? New files deepen mystery over Israeli links.
The whole Epstein files are showing the extensive connections between Epstein and Russia.
The title of this one is Child Sex Trafficking, Co-Conspirators, fully redacted.
While I'm obsessing with the monsters, I keep forgetting about the factory that made the monsters. And like that factory, it's still running. So the reason we all love monster hunting isn't just because it's so psychologically satisfying, but it's actually deeper than that. It's neurological. Your brain is being hacked by it. In 2004, Swiss neuroscientists, and forgive me, this name, I don't know how to pronounce this name, Dominique de Quevin, I'm so sorry, published a study in Science. And he wanted to know what happens to the brain when we punish somebody that wrongs us. So he set up an economic game where one player could betray the other player. Then he gave the betrayed person the opportunity to punish the betrayer. And then, when that person then punished the betrayer, he scanned their brain. And what he found is that when people punish the wrongdoer,
their dorsal striatum lit up like a fireworks show. The dorsal striatum is the brain's reward center.
It's the same region that fires when you eat chocolate, and it's the same region that lights up with addictive drugs. So punishing a wrongdoer gives you a hit of dopamine, like justice, or what feels like justice, is neurologically identical to a drug. Let's have a bit of fucking justice in the world. Oh, give me some justice. I don't know what I'm doing. Is that paedophile going down? Oh, that's good. And not only that, in 2016, David Chester and Nathan DeWall at the University of Kentucky showed that retaliatory
Poor
aggression
Vernon
activates
he's crashing out in the chat, unfortunately, but that's okay. That's okay.
nucleus accumbens, which is not just the reward system, but the addiction system, which is the same circuitry implicated in cocaine and heroin dependence. So every time that you see a headline about Epstein's client list, every time you share a post naming names, every time you imagine these people being arrested, your brain feels like it's giving you a hit. But neurologically, it's closer to a fix.
The latest revelations from the Epstein files raised some serious questions about the reliability of what the then Prince Andrew said in a BBC Newsnight interview.
And like any fix, it has a come down. The dopamine fades, the outrage needs refreshing. So you need a new name, a new revelation, a new monster.
Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. So, Nigel Farage being implicated in the Epstein files. We didn't expect that one.
And the most f***ed up thing is that while your brain is lighting up with righteous fury at the monster, at the same time, it's going dark in response to the system that created that monster. And I'll explain what I mean. In 2020, Shahzad Ghoordazi and Eric Knowles at NYU published a study in the journal Nature Communications. They showed participants footage of genuine human suffering, real homelessness. And then they didn't just ask how people felt.
Whoa, Vernon. Sumdum is, his parents are their parents are very proud of them. I don't know what you're talking about. But this
They
is
measure-
interesting. I'm paying attention. Sorry if I'm not talking too much. I find the science behind it fascinating. And I did not know, the pleasure center of that brain, the part that lights up, is responsible for a lot of things in our society when you think about it. Sorry, I'm still digesting it right now, so.
Measured it physiologically. Skin conductance to measure stress. Facial electromyography, the tiny electrical signals in the muscles that furrow your brow when you feel distressed. Now, before they did that test, they asked the participants whether they believed in the current economic system and whether it was fair or not. Now, the people that said beforehand that they believe the economic system is fundamentally fair, the people who buy into the idea that hard work gets rewarded, their bodies responded less. Their brows didn't furrow. Their skin conductance stayed flat. Their nervous system treated footage of homeless people the way yours treats wallpaper. Which means that the belief that the system is fair had physically numbed them to the suffering that the system produces. Not as a choice, but at the level of autonomic nervous system. So they're not choosing to do that. The nervous system didn't respond. So if you put both of those findings together, your brain gives you a dopamine reward for punishing individual monsters and
By the
makes
way, if you
monsters
guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out and boosts the channel.
hunting feel like winning, and at the same time, your brain suppresses your emotional response to systemic suffering, which is the perfect recipe for a population, all of us, that is permanently outraged at individuals and permanently passive about structures. That's why it's not a conspiracy. It's a system. Furious at faces, blind to system.
Charles, how long have you known about Andrew and
It's not a conspiracy because a conspiracy requires coordination. It requires people in a room deciding to do something evil. And some of that with Epstein, yeah, clearly happened. But the much more frightening truth is that most of what we're seeing doesn't require a conspiracy at all. You don't need a secret meeting to explain why wealthy, powerful men with access to private jets and a private island and a consequence-free environment might end up doing terrible things. You don't need a conspiracy to explain why politicians who received money from Epstein didn't ask where it came from. You just need a political system where campaigns are funded by the ultra-wealthy and nobody asks questions about the money.
Hey, what's up,
You
Zach
don't need a
Scott?
conspiracy to explain why prosecutors...
Vernon Bad Troll No Donuts. Yeah, he's trying though. You gotta give him some credit for at least trying, poor guy.
gave Epstein a sweetheart deal. You just need a legal system where expensive lawyers get different outcomes than public defenders.
Epstein was given a non-prosecution deal by the office of then Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta back in 2008. It secretly ended a federal sex abuse probe involving Epstein's contact with dozens of teenage girls. He instead pleaded guilty to state charges, spent about a year in jail, and Acosta is now the Secretary of Labor.
The conspiracy framing makes it feel containable. There's a network. So find the network, expose the network, dismantle the network. But the system frame, that's terrifying, isn't it? Because the system is everything. The system is the economy. The system is how we organize power and wealth. The system is what we all participate in. And the system doesn't need to conspire. It just needs to keep doing what it's doing. Business as usual. Like this phrase, for example, a bad apple. I've heard people say that. Mandelson is just a bad apple. Prince Andrew is just a bad apple. That is a phrase that we've somehow forgotten the second half of. Because the rest of the proverb is, a bad apple spoils the barrel. The original saying is about...
Very true. This is something I, when the BLM, stuff was going on, this is something I would bring up, is because they would always say stuff about how the cops is just one bad apple, but one bad apple ruins the batch. And I think we're seeing that with ICE as well. I think ICE is forever tainted by what people saw happen to Alex Preddy and Renee Good.
Systemic contamination. We've turned it into an argument for individual blame. And sociologists have studied that pattern for decades. Diane Vaughan, a sociologist at Columbia University, spent years investigating the 1986 Challenger space shuttle disaster. Her 1996 book introduced a concept called the normalization of deviance, the gradual process by which rule breaking becomes standard practice inside organizations. Why? Because nothing catastrophic happens each individual time. For those that don't know, the Challenger space shuttle exploded shortly after takeoff in 1986 because of a defective O-ring seal. So how did that happen? Even drivers are annoyed at it. Some people, it's news.
And liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
Challenger, go at throttle up.
Challenger, go at throttle up.
Flight controllers here looking very carefully at the situation. Obviously,
oh God, it's one of our... this is a tragedy. It truly was a tragedy. Sorry, my heart bleeds for the nation on that day. I feel a collective sadness in America, you know?
Instead of using a single rocket like Apollo, the shuttle was attached to an external fuel tank and two...
What's this got to do with Trump hurting America? Well, it's talking about the Epstein class and how the system allowed for this, and there needs to be accountability that Donald Trump is not currently giving.
Solid rocket boosters. Each of the boosters was constructed of joined metal tubes, and the field joints were sealed with two rubber gaskets called O-rings. One thing engineers saw was the O-rings that sealed the booster joints weren't behaving according to design. On several flights, especially those at cold temperatures, rocket propellant had blown by the primary O-ring.
The first time it happened, they accepted it. They tested it. They thought they knew what had happened. And then the next launch, everything worked. And then a few more launches and it happened again.
But each time, the secondary O-ring prevented...
Vernon wishes he could have my American fervor. Vernon wishes he could have my love for America. He does.
...gases from escaping the side of the booster. So rather than
the
stalling
VOD watchers are going to be so confused by this, by the way. What are you talking about, man?
Program to redesign the joint, NASA waived the requirements.
Oh, for God's sake, Trump isn't perfect, but he's a hell of a lot better than most presidents. No, he's not. He lies to the American population constantly. He uses divisive language to drive a wedge further and further between us. He is trying his utmost best not to help America. He hates America, dude.
Governing O-rings, which effectively made it acceptable to fly with minimal erosion.
Even with the worst O-ring erosion they'd ever had, it hadn't failed. So they started to work on it, but they really weren't rushing. It didn't seem so terrible, but they continually expanded the bounds of acceptable risk.
Every time NASA flew with damaged O-ring seals and the shuttle came back in one piece, it got a little easier to fly with damaged O-ring seals.
Shitting in the Oval Office.
So while engineers raised concerns and the management noted the concerns, the shuttle flew
we've got
anyway,
Cope going on in
and nothing
chat.
exploded.
One moment.
So
Trump is helping America. God bless Donald Trump. He doesn't laugh. In fact, that's what liberals can't stand about Trump. He's honest? No, he's a liar. What are you talking about?
the concerns got smaller and the flights got more routine. Until the day 73 seconds changed everything.
3 nautical miles.
Challenger, go at throttle up.
Challenger, go at throttle up.
Why did we put a Why did we put a school teacher on there? That's my question. Why did we do that knowing that may have happened? Could you imagine if Big Bird had been on there? Oh my God. It would have been over. The nation would have been complete pandemonium. Could you imagine? Big Bird was supposed to be on there, guys. I'm glad I don't see a world where that came to fruition.
And Vaughan's insight was that nobody at NASA was being cartoonishly villainous. People were following the cultural
Oh no,
logic
the
of
school teacher may have been Big Bird. You may be right.
the organization. Production pressures.
Oh yeah,
and
they're
the
huffing copium today. The cope is heavy. The cope is heavy today.
Related precedent created a situation where flying with a known designed flaw felt normal.
You know, we've been rationalizing this erosion
Oh no,
since the second flight.
don't worry, Timmy. He was shitting his pants in the Oval Office. Quite embarrassingly, actually. And then they made everybody leave. Like, oh my God, bro. How bad was that shit? I mean, it was audible, apparently. I mean, not apparently, we heard it, but it is very embarrassing.
None of the information the NASA managers were getting was new. This was not individuals getting used to something. This was organizationally supported.
That's where the accident was inevitable.
Now apply
that woman's face.
That's where
This was organizationally supported.
that's where the accident was inevitable.
Now apply that to Epstein, and more importantly, to the whole network around him. Look at how many people were involved. Look
Amen,
at
Zach.
how many people.
Amen. You know what my favorite thing is when you go, oh yeah, I'm bisexual, and they're like, well, I'm fine with it as long as you don't try to go for me. And it's like the most hideous looking pot-bellied man. And it's like, my friend, I had no intention of that, so that's something you don't even gotta worry about.
People knew. Look at
Oh,
how many
yeah.
people looked the
Vernon
other
would
way.
pay for
Politicians,
the
prosecutors,
air of that room.
university administrators, intelligence agencies, business leaders, socialites, media figures. That's not a conspiracy. That's normalization of deviance. That's what happens when rule breaking becomes standard practice, because nothing bad happens to each individual each time that it happens. So every time that a wealthy person faces no consequences for that behavior that would destroy an ordinary person, it got normalized. Every time the system looked the other way because someone was rich enough, it got normalized. Each time someone took money they shouldn't have taken, went to a party they shouldn't have gone to, looked away from something they shouldn't have ignored, and nothing happened, the deviance got more normal. Epstein in that isn't the anomaly. Epstein is just the moment the O-ring finally failed. If you focus on the individuals, if you name every name on the list, prosecute every person, shame every associate, and you leave the system intact, the system's just going to produce another monster. Because the normalization of deviance doesn't end when you catch even the last person. It ends when you change the conditions that made the deviance normal in the first place. So, what are those conditions? What's the factory actually running on? 1. Extreme wealth concentration. Right now, the top 1% of Americans own 32.3% of all wealth. The bottom 50% own 2.5%. Globally, billionaire wealth hit 18.3 trillion in 2025, which is up 81% since just 2020 in 5 years. The world's 12 richest people hold more wealth than the poorest 4.1 billion. 2, we have a legal system that operates differently for the rich. Epstein's 2008 plea deal, 13 months, work release, registered as a sex offender, but kept his wealth, his connections, his lifestyle, isn't a failure of the legal system. That's the legal system working as it's designed when you can afford $1,000 an hour lawyers. 3. Political capture. Billionaires are 4,000 times more likely to hold political office than ordinary people. And not only that, they own more than half of the world's major media.
Now this is something that I think is very apt. We need more people to get into politics that are just regular people like you and me. We need it. That's what our system is. Well, it's kind of what our democracy runs on. And so when that's not happening, when billionaires are allowed to kind of cheat the system, this happens. And so that's why we need more average people running for Congress, running for even just smaller positions of power. Can't stop thinking about this when Vernon talks. One moment, the screen will go dark for one moment. One momento. I thought I saw it. The Whitest Kids You Know. I love The Whitest Kids You Know.
I grew up.
Vernon, this is what Bill is reminded of every time you talk.
In an American town, no locks on the doors when we all bedded down to sleep. Met a pretty young girl and made her my bride. After church on Sundays, took the kids for a ride down the street. Swimming holes, catching fireflies in jars. Spend the evening staring at the stars. Then the gays got married and the plant shut down.
The gays got married. God damn it, dude. They did it. I can't believe they did it. The gays got married. And everything went to shit after that. I mean, if you were to believe Vernon, that would be the truth.
And the crops dried up everywhere around.
Around.
And the gays started kissing, and the state said cool.
And the states said cool. I love that. I love that. Anyways, let's continue.
Media companies and every single one of the main social media platforms. They don't just influence policy, they write it. 4. Desperation at the other end. 60% of Americans can't afford a $1,000 emergency. The same system that concentrates wealth at the top produces economic desperation at the bottom. And that desperation is what predators like Jeffrey Epstein exploit. He targets vulnerable young women who need money they couldn't get.
By the way, if you guys are
anywhere else.
enjoying the stream, don't forget
And
to like
5,
and
critically,
subscribe.
the
It really
removal
helps
of
out the channel and gets
consequences.
me
Behavior that
boosted
goes
out there
unpunished
in the
gets
algorithm.
reinforced. Every time Epstein should have been stopped, his wealth bought him immunity. Every time he got away with it, his brain and the brains of everyone watching learned the rules don't apply. That's not a conspiracy. That's a production line. Concentrate wealth, remove consequences, capture politics, the manufacture of desperation, and normalize deviance.
That's where...
Right? You think
accent-
that Trump would be a lot more rest in peace, Trevor Moore? Rest in peace. Something I was about to bring up. Sorry, I got distracted by this rusted Dwemer cabinet. You'd think that Trump blowing Bubba, he'd be a lot more LGBT friendly, but I guess not. How am I failing to cast the spell? 31%. Oh my god. Finally. Took long enough.
Was inevitable.
And when a monster inevitably appears, focus all public attention on the monster. Direct all the outrage towards the individual and leave the factory running. And this is why I started by saying I'm exhausted, because I think the exhaustion is the point. I think it's part of the system. Dr. Stephen Leach at Lancaster University led a study analysing 1.2 million posts on Twitter, X, containing links to nearly 25,000 petitions. And he was looking at the relationship between moral outrage and action in the real world, people that would sign those petitions. And what he found is that expressions of moral outrage dramatically increased a post's virality. More likes, more reposts, more engagement. But outrage had no significant effect on whether people actually signed the petition, the thing that would create real change. People just didn't do it because the outrage felt like action. It replaced action. But posts that emphasized group identity, agency, and pro-social intent, the boring posts, the ones that didn't go viral, those actually generated petition signatures. So think about the Epstein conversation right now. Millions of people posting, sharing, demanding the list, calling for arrests. And what's actually happening in terms of policy? Guys, what is actually happening in terms of policy, in terms of the structural changes that would prevent the next Epstein? Just anyone, has anyone got, what's actually happening in the, has anyone, what is actually happening in the policy actually? What is happening in policy actually, anyone? Our anger is being composted into content, and I include myself entirely in this. I've been doom scrolling through all the names and connections for days, and what has it achieved? Well, I'm more informed about who was on a flight log. To be fair, I've always loved flight logs. Flight Simulator, it was a great game for me when I was younger, but who's on the flight? That's what I want to know. The developers never replied. So, here's what I'm trying to hold in my head at the same time. It's two things at once.
Of course.
First, individuals who committed crimes should face justice. And secondly, the system that produced them needs to be addressed. And those two things aren't contradictory, they're actually complementary. But right now, all we're doing is the first. You don't stop monsters by hunting them one by one. You stop them by closing the factory. And you close it by fixing a tax system that lets wealth pool to obscene extremes. You close it by ending the consequences vacuum. Same laws, same courts, same sentences. You close it by getting money out of politics. And you close it by rebuilding the safety nets so people aren't economically desperate enough to become victims. And you close it by recognizing that extreme wealth inequality isn't just unfair, it's a factory that manufactures abuse. The problem we have right now is we are living in an Epstein economy. And until we dismantle the Epstein economy, we're all complicit in building the next monster.
Interesting point. I do think it is important to hold these people accountable, but I do hear the point that we need to restructure how the system looks at people with wealth and power. Honestly, it's a shame. It's a shame that the system still is up, and it probably is producing more Epsteins. Anyways, we have Matt Walsh here, and I think he's here to complain about the Super Bowl Survivor ad. It seems like it. Let's listen in on Matt Walsh. Remember, guys, this guy's a tough guy. He goes fishing a lot, apparently. If you didn't know that about Matt Walsh, apparently he's a big fisher.
Musk responded to, I made this point on X yesterday, Elon Musk responded to my post and said that he would personally pay the legal fees of any of these women. So that excuse is out the window.
Oh, that excuse is out the window. Sounds like he's gonna do more woman bad because they don't want to expose themselves to a bunch of online harassment. Isn't that going to be fun? We love that. We love when it happens. God, it's so frustrating. It failed to cast. Hold on, dude. What? I ain't failing to cast nothing. One moment. I gotta get these sick dubs on these Dwemer losers. Get wrecked, scrub. That's a name haven't heard in a long old time. Matt Walsh? Yeah, I know, right? Good old Matt Walshy Walsh.
Here's another moment from the Super Bowl, which was, as everyone has pointed out, one of the worst games we've seen.
It's one of the worst games. Is that what we're talking? Are we here to talk about the game, or are we here to talk? What are we here to talk about, sir? Was he upset with the game? I didn't realize that was something they were upset about.
In the Super Bowl, on top of everything else. But here's an ad that ran. Actually, and I think in general the Super Bowl ads were pretty lame this year, based on the ads I see circulating.
Oh,
and
of course he
shared.
does.
And
everything was
the
lame
ones
this
that
year.
are circulating now are supposed to be the best ones, but for the most part, they're really bad. I know that it's pathetically consumerist to wax nostalgic over commercials, but it is true that Super Bowl commercials used to be good. They used to be an event in their own right, and that's gone away now. It's kind of another casualty of.
Oh my God! Of what? What is the Super Bowl commercial the casualty of?
The death of the monoculture.
The death of the monoculture. Bro, this guy's so racist he has to make up new words. The monoculture? Since when was America a monoculture? Jesus Christ.
Just not what it used to be. But anyway, here's another ad that ran during the game, or I mean, I saw it online.
Racist
Some of the
opinings
headlines
aside.
about this ad say that the ad ran during the Super Bowl, and then other ads say that it was released on Super Bowl Sunday, which is not exactly the same thing. So I don't know when it ran, but regardless, this is an ad that they obviously wanted to tie to the game for publicity.
What the
It's
fuck is
Epstein accusers
monoculture?
calling for the release of more Epstein files other than the 3 million that have already been released. Here it is.
All right, so this commercial did stick with me. I won't lie. So I'm interested to see what his complaints are, because I thought this was a very powerful commercial. I won't lie. I thought it was deep, and it really humanized the Epstein victims for me, and made me realize that it is a deep problem. And, you know, by these people not releasing Epstein files, it's damaging these victims and the trust in the system as a whole. Okay, I keep getting rigmarolled.
After years of being kept apart, we're standing together.
Standing together.
Because this girl deserves the truth.
Because she deserves the truth. Because we all deserve the truth.
And he's probably gonna say it was the wrong place for an ad. Dude, yeah, that's probably what his issue is going to be. But it's like, this is important. It needs to be talked about. You know, this is a much wider issue now. It's an issue of trust in our government. It's an issue of, will victims be believed? And something tells me that Matt Walsh is, I don't know. I don't want to put my cart before the horse, but I do wonder, what would be your issue with this? I do kind of wonder.
So they want the truth to come out, they say. They call on Pam Bondi.
Listen to this. They say? Fucking disgusting, bro. They say. Get that fucking word out of your mouth. Acting like these victims are just pretending. What a shitty thing to say. Right off the bat.
To act. Their mouths are crossed out, indicating that they're being silenced. Very dramatic lighting and all that kind of stuff. Well, here's my problem, though. And I'm really getting tired of the theatrics. Because if you want people...
Wow, what a piece of shit. The theatrics. This is all theatrics, huh? Yeah, these women were just... This type of language really just strikes a nerve with me. I can't lie. Theatrics. How dare you say that about these victims?
People to know the truth, then tell us the truth. If you want the names of your abusers to be released, then tell us the names.
Well, maybe they don't want to end up like Virginia Giuffre. Maybe they don't want to end up like that, who got so harassed that she felt ending her life was the only real way out of the harassment she was facing. Just so disgusting. Dude literally complained at how well they get their story across. Yeah, it's bullshit. It's disgusting, isn't it? He was a proponent of child marriages? Jesus Christ, Matt. Or was she murdered? Well, that's the question, isn't it? I think it's totally reasonable to assume that, not even assume, there's evidence. There's evidence that she was getting harassed non-stop by people on the right because of the comments, even after she cleared up Trump's name. I think there's ample evidence to prove that she was being harassed by these people. Yeah, they thrive on hatred towards women, and it's so disgusting. It just breaks my heart because these people deserve justice. It's like this. I don't think people realize, we were inundated with, child sex trafficking is, or just trafficking in general is such a big problem. And it is a big issue, but I think it kind of, in a way, denigrates what happened to the Epstein victims, because it makes it seem more normal in a way. But no, this man was a disgusting human, and he hurt so many women, and there were people part of that need to be held accountable that are in positions of power. How dare you call this theatrics? I mean, truthfully, how dare you? This is what they want, though. They want people to get outraged and mad at it. I'm not, I just think it's cringe. Truthfully, I just think it's major cringe. Rest in peace, Trevor Moore. Anyways, this is
It is not.
This is
In fact,
is his problem?
ever since the beginning of time, teenage girls have been getting pregnant. It used to be more common. The peak, ever since they started keeping records of these things, which they only started doing recently, like in the 20th century, but ever since they started keeping records, in 1957 was the peak for teenage pregnancy. 1957. Not 2009,
Well, back
not
then,
today.
all of them were supposed to have kids. Like, that's when you
hold on.
had kids.
That's my point, okay? So to all of a sudden act like this phenomenon of girls getting pregnant at a young age that we consider young, 16 or 17, to act like it's a new thing is ridiculous. It's always been that way. Even biologically, and this is me just stating, I'm just, right now I'm going to start by just stating facts. So
Oh
fact
God,
number one.
no! No, we've got the guy stating facts. That's never good. You never want a guy like this to start stating facts. All right, what is it, Matt?
It's not a new phenomenon. Fact number two, in fact, it's a phenomenon that was more common earlier in history, and for, the first 6,000 to 10,000 years of human existence, it was a normal thing. Fact three,
was it?
Girls between the ages of like 17 and 24 is when they're technically most fertile.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, bro, I don't want to know when a girl is most fertile. I don't care about that. Whoa, Matty boy, where are we going with this, my friend? Whoa, Matt, hold on now, bud. We're taking some turns here I don't think we really want to take. All right, I guess I'll continue on.
Logical. That's a fact, all right? I'm just stating facts. That's all I'm doing.
Okay.
But what happened recently, and this is the fourth fact, recently in the last 30 years or so, we decided that that's way too young to start a family.
Why?
And because now
divorce rates would probably go up, and once you're that young, you can't really make sure that
Well,
you know.
no,
that's the
girls are
person
no,
you
no,
want
no,
to
no,
stay
no, no,
with.
because
Girls were getting married early, and
No,
marriages
no,
were
no. Damn, he is defending this. He says, no, 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 no. No, no, my friend. There's many more reasons. Hold on, let's...
lasting longer. You very rarely hear about like these relationships that go to their what is it, your diamond anniversary,
Whoa,
your 50th
Chad was
anniversary, and all
banned?
this. That's a dying breed of people out there.
Yeah, and those all were all people that
Whoa,
got married.
whoa. Careful now. Is he back? We need to make sure Chad is back before we continue onward. Chad is a stalwart member. And I need to make sure he is... Okay, he's here. All right, just had to make sure.
Married very young. That's why
they're still alive.
Yeah, that's why you can have someone in their 70s who's celebrating their, 55th wedding anniversary because they got married when they were teenagers. So what I'm saying is that the problem is not per se teenage pregnancy, it's unwed pregnancy. That's the problem in society. It's only problematic when you are not married and you don't have the man there to help you take care of the kids because he's a coward. And the reason why we have that now are for two reasons. Because we have in current society, we live in the age of extended adolescence.
Right, okay. Interesting. All right, so now that kind of gives you some perspective. I'm playing with my nephew? Oh, there's no issue, brother. That's totally fine. I hope you're having a good time. But, that's interesting. That's very interesting. So, just keep that in mind as Matt Walsh is complaining about women of sexual abuse.
Tell us the names.
Who have
Just
been
come out
victims of
and tell
sexual
us
abuse.
the names of the people who abused you. Like, you're going through all of this to call on other people to release information that you say you have.
No, they don't have it, you idiot. They're not saying they have it. Wow, Matt is dumb. How did this man become... Gosh, the culture warriors of days gone past. It's so strange to see them now. They've lost their edge. They've lost their edge. They definitely have.
So release the information. Now, I support the release of the Epstein files. You all know that. I
Yeah,
wanna
obviously.
see all the files released. I'm all for it. I've always been for it. But it's also obviously the case that what's happening with these accusers is an op. It's a political op. Obviously. Because here's what I know. First of all, we didn't hear a word from any of these women when Biden was in office. I pointed this out a million times.
Here they go again. Here they go again. So you see, his actual motivation behind calling the victims out is that he doesn't believe 15 to 16-year-olds are victims because they're too old. Very true. Yeah, very interesting what he had to say. Like, how does a quote like that not instantly make you, like, how does that not instantly destroy your reputation? You are so inexperienced that you are having a hard time comprehending that what he's even saying. I don't think that's true. I think you're just coping with the fact that I'm hitting you with facts and logic, and you can't cope with that. And I'm sorry about that, man. But hopefully we will be able to get you to accept it at some point. That's my hope, anyways.
Blows my mind that everyone is just pretending that Biden was not in office, the Democrats did not control the White House for 4 years.
And there was an active investigation going on for those 4 years, but Donald Trump ended that with a 2-page memo put out by Pam Bondi.
These files existed. And we didn't hear a word from any of these women. There were 4 Super Bowls during that time. Why do you put an ad out then? Why did you decide the moment the Democrats left the White House that now is the time when you want justice?
Wow.
Why? Explain that.
That explains it.
So 4 years of Biden, 4 years, and none of them called for the files to be released. No Democrat did either. None of these Democrats who are now on camera.
You know, I say to this, I really do say that's because of Donald Trump's behavior. Donald Trump has been acting very strange. And so that's him, dude. That's his fault. It's not our fault he's acting like a fucking oddball. Acting so cagey about the files. That's his fault. Hold on, I gotta use this cheap Restore Health potion.
Every day say, we want justice for the Epstein victims. Why didn't you say that ever at any point for the last 4 years? Why? That is a...
So this is a non-argument, because why the fuck does it matter? We're asking for him now. Why the fuck does it matter if we weren't calling for them a couple of years ago? No one can ever answer that because they don't, because they're just more interested on fighting on partisan lines and stuff like that rather than getting to the center of this. Again, these people, they don't, oh my God, over encumbered again? Grandpa's day drinking. Poor liquor store dinosaur. He is, I do feel like due to his name, he might be hitting the bottle on occasion, but you know, no issue with that. If you're retired, go ahead, man. Probably not healthy for your mental, but you know, I'm not your dad.
Legitimate question. that speaks to your
Off topic, but I hate this bookshelf canoe. Oh, dude, the bookshelf canoe is so... You want to talk about theatrics? This motherfucker's got theatrics going on up the wazoo! You think, has this man ever been on a boat? Fuck no. Look at his cuticles.
personal motivations.
Look at
and
his
you should
soft
answer.
white hands.
There's no...
Okay, so now he has realized, do I sound like it sounds like you're defending the Epstein class. I won't lie, friend. It sounds like you're defending the Epstein class. He's fishing for something. Oh, yeah. I didn't really hear about these files till recently. My favorite liberal? What up, Snowset? How are we doing today? I appreciate that. Your favorite. Oh, thank you.
Explanation that I can imagine other than the obvious one, which is politics. And I know there's no innocent...
And I do say, like, the reason we're much more interested now is because our president started being so cagey about it. I think that's more than a good enough reason. The Epstein class got to be worse than bourgeoisie? No, I think it's pretty good. I think it defines, like, a group of people that are above the law. So much above the law that they can commit acts of... Well, I mean, I'm sure you know. They can commit these acts and get away with it. I'm sorry, but I don't really want to wear the Dwemer gear if I don't have all of it together. That's just a fact of the day.
an explanation or legitimate explanation aside from it's all politics, because anytime I bring this up, the only response I get is shrieking and accusing me of defending Epstein.
Well, to be honest, though, it kind of does sound like you're defending Epstein. It kind of does sound like you don't believe these women. Which I think most people on the right even would say that these women aren't lying. Interesting. You're taking this position, Matt Walsh. I think he is defending Epstein. I don't know if you guys are getting that, but I'm definitely am.
That's it. If you bring this up and you ask this question, well, why didn't you guys come out for the last 4 years? Why aren't you just naming the names that you say you know? The only response you'll get is,
dude, I was debating my friend's dad about immigration. He no joke said immigration enforcement should look like racial profiling. Jesus. Well, what I would bring up to him is, then how did Obama do it so effectively? You know, for 8 years, and there weren't any major... I mean, there were definitely protests, but it wasn't like what's happening now. Yeah, they don't understand. Like, they're able to say this type of stuff, but they don't know what it looks like in practice. And they couldn't imagine what would happen if it was on the other foot. Walsh probably believes they are telling the truth and they still aren't victims. Very true. I had no idea he had that quote.
what?
That is
You're defending
insane.
Epstein. What are you, an Epstein supporter now? Oh, shut up.
Dude, and also I wouldn't be like, if I had that quote, I would not be out here being like, well, these Epstein victims. Sorry, I have to get rid of the right palindrome.
shut up. I mean, the dumbest, laziest straw man imaginable. Again, I support the release of the Epstein files. I called for the release many times.
Until you realized your boy was in it. Then you stopped being so gung-ho about it. I think it's absolutely shameful how a lot of these right-wing grifters have been acting in the face of the Epstein files. They just try to act like it's not real. They just ignore it instead of actually engaging with the fact that a lot of our most powerful elites got away with doing horrible things. One moment, guys. I'm fighting this. Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa. Alright, now I can fight you guys.
I want anyone who
10
abused
likes. Hey,
children
shout
with
out.
Epstein
By the way,
or
if you guys are enjoying the stream,
abuse-
please remember to like and subscribe. I do a show basically every day where I talk about the news and politics. So if that interests you, give a like and subscribe. Tomorrow, we should be having our weekly podcast where we talk about liberal news and politics called Rage and Resist. I think it's an amazing podcast that has some absolute Chads and Stacys.
abused
Oh yeah,
children at
Stephen
all
Miller is a gremlin.
to
I'm
be
pretty sure
tried
that's
and executed.
confirmed.
That's what
That's
I want.
canon, right?
So, also, I question the motives of these particular women.
Oh, you are fucking disgusting. You are a real piece of shit, Matt. I question the motives of these women. What the hell is wrong with you? What, you think they're gonna get famous for being Epstein survivors? That is really disgusting, Matt. You should be, like, really ashamed of yourself, bro. What you're implying, that's beyond the pale, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, how do you even square that one away in your head? Wow. That one shocked me. Wow. He really just said that. Just take a moment and think about what this man just fucking said. We should be questioning the motives of the Epstein survivors. Really? Wow, that is... I mean, I'm just at a loss for words for that one. You guys know what I mean? I mean, that... Wow.
Certainly question the motives of almost all of the Democrat politicians who only just 5
By the way,
seconds
genuine question, was Michael Jackson a diddler? I think there's good evidence to show that, yes, he was, but some people disagree. But I think it's pretty conclusive if you listen to the interviews people gave and you listen to, like, how he told the staff to act a certain way around children, and he had a whole system. Yeah, I think MJ... I personally do, but I know some people disagree with it. But what we do know is that Jeffrey Epstein was, and Matt Walsh is saying, well, let's hold on, guys. These women may have ulterior motives for coming forward with their story.
ago discovered this deep passion for bringing Epstein's, associates to justice. I question their motives because I have a brain.
I'm turning up the gamma on my
And anyone with a brain can see what's happening.
computer. Sorry, guys. I had to.
And
I wasn't
second,
able
once
to see.
again, these women could just name their abusers. They could do that.
How much
They've
brighter
been in
is
front
it
of
for you
cameras
guys now?
constantly. They're taking out ads during the Super Bowl. They could simply just tell us the names.
Oh
They have
my
the names.
God.
They say, well, give us the names, but they refuse to. And at this point, that leaves us with only two possible conclusions. Either these women are frauds. Now, Epstein certainly had victims, but these women
Wow.
are not among them. They're frauds.
Bro, what are you saying? What the hell? He's saying they're frauds. I can't believe. I mean, what a scumbag, dude. Matt Walsh, what a fucking scumbag. Yeah, this dude is fucking sick. How dare you? Like, actually, how fucked up in the head do you have to be to do shit like this? I genuinely wonder. To defend Jeffrey Epstein, that's what he's doing. Wow.
That's one explanation, right? The other explanation is worse, and it's that they're telling the truth, and they do know the names of child rapists who are still running around out there, but they refuse to tell us. And
It's
they've
not
refused to tell
that,
us for
my
the last
friend.
5 years.
Maybe it's the fact of the matter that nothing happens if they do tell you. Is that they get harassed and stalked. That may be the outcome, Matt. Maybe that's why they don't want to come forward. Yeah, hide your hard drive, Walsh, for real. Especially with that comment from earlier, you should be extremely happy that these people are getting justice, or else some people are going to start looking at you weird. For good reason, considering what you fucking said. What a sick fuck, honestly.
They're allowing these child rapists to run around.
No, the
Making
DOJ
them
is
complicit.
allowing the child rapists to run around.
I mean, those are your two options. And I've heard all the excuses. We're told, well, they can't name names because of NDAs. Do you understand how dumb
It's
you
not the
sound
reason.
when you say that? Anyone who says that, well, they can't name the
No
names.
one's
There are
saying that.
NDAs.
He's making up a shadow person that
Do
doesn't
you realize
exist.
how incredibly stupid that is?
Yes,
NDAs
and that's why
do
nobody
not
is saying
cover
that.
criminal behavior, okay? You cannot enforce an NDA that forbids someone from reporting crimes.
Matt fighting
That does
a
not happen. It's not possible.
ghost from the shadow realm right now.
Okay,
Nobody has said
NDAs
anything
are not-
about
are not
NDAs. What,
self-enforcing.
bro?
You have to go to a court. Okay? What court in the country is going to say to one of these women, yeah, this child rape was happening, but you signed an NDA. You're not supposed to tell anybody. And so, sorry, you owe the child rapist $100 million. What judge is going to come down with that ruling? And I'm as cynical about judges in this country as anybody. So that's not going to happen. And likewise, the truth, if you say, well, they're going to get sued for defamation, the truth is an absolute defense against defamation. You cannot be guilty of defamation for saying the truth.
This man,
You could say
he's just
whatever you
stupid.
want
I don't know
about
what
anyone.
else. How do you not see the most obvious reason for why these women wouldn't come forward? Which is because they might get harassed. He's just totally ignoring that. God, Matt Walsh, you are really a sick motherfucker, dude. That is some sick shit you got going on in your mind, bro. To think these women are just coming forward for fucking... They would get sued. Exactly, dude. And without the DOJ behind them, they'd probably lose.
As long as it's true. So, the and the excuse is, well, these women, they'll get sued, and then even if they are telling the truth, that well, now they're caught up in
can't
court.
contend with that. Let's see, does he contend with that, or does he just say, not a problem? Not a problem. Damn, where the hell? I need a Dwemer cube, and I am unable to find one.
Court with some person with unlimited resources. Okay, well, so here's what you're telling me you think will happen. You think that one of these women will come out and say, well, I was raped as a child by fill in the blank famous person. And that she's telling the truth, but then that famous person will go to court knowing that it's true, will volunteer to go to court and have discovery where all of these things are now they have to come out because now we're in a lawsuit. That's what's going to happen? And when that does,
see how his hypothetical just makes no fucking... Just, it doesn't even leave itself to be, like, interpreted. Hold on.
happen, they're going to lose.
Like,
so
he's just saying they're going to lose. All the facts will come out. Well, maybe that's why they're asking for the facts right now, Matt. Maybe that's why they're calling for the files, so they can sue them without having the threat of defamation. This man, he's not real, dude. I'm sorry. This guy can't actually exist.
That's not going to happen. And even if it did, you know, these women could, there's no shortage
put Walsh
of people
on the loser
who would
can.
gladly
Hey, we can do that. We'll have that tomorrow. I like that idea. Hell yeah, we'll put Matt Walsh on the loser cam. Many people have been there, you know. I miss Nick Fritas. I sometimes do, you know. I'll see he posted a video, but it's just like, dude, you're so irrelevant now that you're not a Congress member that I don't want to talk about you. Okay, I'm getting turned around in this Dwemer maze. I must not know. I want him for R&R maybe Wednesday. Well, R&R has a completely new cam setup now, guys. I think you'll be quite it's got a whole new design for the shorts part that I'm very excited to debut. Who's the real guy on the red guy? Oh, that's Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley? Yeah, that's Nicky boy. I'm Nick Shirley, and I'm here to look at your children. My name is Nick Shirley, and I'm here to look at your children. Oh yeah,
their legal offense.
The distortion's
their
kind of
legal
hard to tell,
expenses
but that is indeed
if they were to
our
come
boy
out, name
Nicholas.
names, and then get sued. I mean, they could put out a GoFundMe and raise enough to cover the whole thing in like 24 hours. And
Well, unfortunately, we're not a racist who said they're not a racist who said the N-word, so who knows how much support they'll get on GoFundMe.
they wouldn't even need to do that. Because on top of it, I should also mention some kind of breaking news here that Elon Musk responded to, I made this point on X yesterday, Elon Musk responded to my post and said that he would personally pay the legal fees of any of these women. So that
Wow,
excuse
you
is
don't
out the
want
window.
Elon Musk to pay for your stuff?
And here's the thing, all of
Come on,
this
that's
is beside
Elon
the
Musk.
point. It's all beside the point. Because
Dude,
these
that guy's
women
such a
could
loser. He'd
just
probably use
give
it
the
as
names
fucking
to
pressure
any of their
against
advocates
the
in
women
Congress, most of them
at
very
some
recent
point.
advocates, and have the names read out loud on the floor of Congress.
Has Matt Walsh
And that
dropped
would
the
legally
N-bomb?
insulate everybody
Probably.
from
I
getting
don't know,
sued.
though.
They couldn't be sued. Okay, they cannot be sued for telling something privately to a member of Congress. And the member of Congress can't get sued if they say it on the floor of the House.
On camera, I mean?
So they could do that.
I
So there's
can't
no excuse.
quite
There
think
is
of
no
any time
excuse
that
for
he's
why
done
they
it,
don't just
but
tell us what
I wouldn't
they
be
know
surprised.
or have someone in Congress tell us for them. They could do that at any time. There is nothing stopping them. And yet they refuse.
His children and baby mamas
So,
hate him. That's no surprise there.
And that's what I'm just fed up with it.
He's just fed
Tell us
up
what you
with
know.
it, dude.
Or
He's
or
fed
stop.
up
Like,
with
tell-
these
tell us what
women
you know.
not
Like, tell us
telling
what you know.
him what
Tell
they
us what you
know.
know. And if you don't know anything,
Somebody
if
needs
this
to
is all
talk to these
ruse,
women and tell them
then shut
that
up.
Matt Walsh is fed up. Okay? Someone needs
I
to
should
come
also
into
mention some kind of
contact with
breaking
these
news.
women, every single one of them, and tell them that Matt Walsh is pretty upset. He's pretty mad about the fact that you are not releasing all the names that you know. I don't care if you're afraid. Matt Walsh doesn't care. What an idiot, dude. I mean, how do you even... He literally did the meme of like, I don't want to defend Jeffrey Epstein, but... I mean, how do you do that, man? It's not that hard not to defend Jeffrey Epstein, in my opinion. I don't think it's that hard. The Dwemer puzzle box. Finally, dude, we found it. After days of searching, probably weeks at this point, after a week of searching, we finally found it. Holy shit. Something tells me I didn't even need to think. I don't even think I needed to go through that entire rigmarole. But I feel we're better for it. So anyways, chill. The Dow is close to 50K. Very true. Why are we Why are we complaining when the Dow is almost at 50K? That's something we need to ask ourselves.
Ah, bollocks.
Amen. Let's see if there's any more news dropping right now. There's not much. Honestly, I did want to... We can watch this Charlie video, then we'll head out.
All right, man. This new tactic that they're pulling out for the Epstein files that they're really digging in deep in the John Madden playbook for is unbelievably ridiculous, even by the standards the circus has already set. This is like if I pissed on your head, but didn't even try and call it rain. I just called it piss. I just say, hey, Buster, I'm urinating on you. And you're just supposed to, like, thank me for it. Last night, there was a big bombshell breaking. All Epstein files released. Pam Bondi announces DOJ has released all Epstein files under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, including justified redactions and a list of high-profile names appearing in these documents. When I saw that fresh little nugget drop there, I actually thought that there was a huge Epstein file dump where
I'm on 144p. What is the title? Oh, I hope it's not. I'm not streaming on 144p, but the title is just a complete lie about the Epstein files. Fuck Trump. Amen, Jason.
Did
By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream
maybe Pam
and want to see
Bondi getting
more,
biblically
I
smacked.
have a podcast tomorrow with my fellow libs where we talk about the news and the latest going-ons in the lib space called Rage and Resist. Check that out tomorrow. It should be around 10 to 11 is when we start. And then, if you just enjoy this, I highly recommend giving a like and subscribe because soon we're going to have we're gonna have some major improvements. I'm working on some things that I'm actually very proud of.
Down at that hearing the other day and embarrassing herself actually did lead to these files coming out, the remainder of them. But it turns out that's just a fucking lie. That's just a big time full-blown fib. And of course, it was a speed run to community noted as people went to check only to learn there are no new files. What's being referred to here are the same files that came out a few weeks ago, the 3.5 million files from a couple weeks ago. And now the new thing here is, I guess after Pam Bondi got fucking farmed on Rust by anyone with even a single semblance of a brain at that hearing, she huffed and puffed and then farted out a giant list of names from anyone that was even mentioned anywhere, which includes people like Janis Joplin, who died when Epstein was 17. So this has naturally been called out by a lot of people saying to have Janis Joplin, who died when Epstein was 17, in the same list as Larry Nassar, who went to prison for the sexual abuse of hundreds of young women and child pornography with no clarification of
Guys,
how
I really am starting to think that they're weaponizing these Epstein files. And I mean, we knew they would do it, but I think they're really trying to use them, which is fucking disgusting. Like, the only extent to we, quote-unquote, use the files is to get justice for the victims. But it seems like these people are trying to send the files towards their political opponents, which is really disgusting.
the files is absurd, which it is. It's done on purpose with the sole intent of confusing and muddying everything here. They combined the actual, real, evil child sex trafficking clients with just random people's names who appeared in emails like Janis Joplin. This is ridiculous, and it's just blatantly corrupt right in your face. There is no new files here. That is just a lie. Yet for some reason, it's being peddled by tons of people as if it's real. I guess they all got the call, so Alex Jones here, preaching about how Pam Bondi just unleashed the full Epstein files. She dropped her trousers and took a shit on this whole narrative that the Epstein files implicate anyone in this administration. In fact, it backfired bigly on the left, on powerful Dems like Bill Clinton. And others busted while fake smears against Trump are bullshit. Vindication for Trump. It's crazy how Alex Jones, for years, was talking about this elite pedophile ring that was raping and torturing and killing children, and now he is finally proven beyond a shadow of a doubt to be right. He was completely correct on that, and now he has to pussyfoot around the subject, just tiptoeing, walking on eggshells because some of his friends are in there. Dude went from secretly filming Bohemian Grove to being best buddies with its members. So now we all know that this is correct. Alex Jones could have taken a victory lap on this shit, but instead he's been preoccupied with 6'7" Labubu and whatever other dog shit that is. And anytime he mentions the Epstein files, he has to do so with Trump's cock in his throat about it. He only focuses on those easy, low-hanging fruit of the Epstein files like Bill Clinton. Alex Jones explores the Epstein files like this, with his hands over his eyes, really scared, making sure to put on the blinders so he could block out all of his friends' names, so he can laser focus on easy shit like Bill Clinton, who everybody knows is guilty in all of this. Real groundbreaking stuff, Goober. It's incredible what a paid shill this guy is. And I just saw he's doing like a press tour about how all of this is the result of Trump, by the way. He went in there and said, you gotta release this now. It's time we fucking release everything unredacted. No more, softball in it. As if Trump was the reason this happened, even after, for a whole year, Trump has been saying it's a hoax, it's not real, move on, move on, move on, we gotta stop caring about this Epstein stuff. Does anyone still care about this? No one in America cares about this. Yeah, Alex, I'm sure Trump is the one that went in there and really strong-armed the release of anything. And again, Alex Jones is saying all the files are released now.
Had
that
enough
is just
integrity not to be a loyalist.
False. That is not true. There are no new files that Pam Bondi just released. Alex,
for the
it should
Republican
be obvious to
Party,
anyone
it's
paying
great for us
attention, or
Dems,
even
but for the Republicans to be losing members like this, I wonder, what is the party gonna look like in 10 years? I don't know if it even exists, to be quite honest. I do wonder. It definitely won't be as it is in its current form. The Democratic Party, though, we'll be chugging along. I mean, we've had a pretty consistent platform for the past, 30 years, so I think we'll probably continue to do well on that.
even just a smidgen of attention. You don't even have to have your eyes glued to it or anything. Even just glancing should be pretty clear, painting an obvious picture that the powers that be are using Alex Jones as a very convenient mouthpiece to regurgitate their shit and defend them and do a lot of sweeping for them. We are in an era where you have this information at your fingertips and they are telling you, disregard what your eyes can see and listen to us and nothing else. It's so fucking scary because people are willingly doing it. You can check yourself to see if there are new files that dropped, and it only takes a couple of seconds to get the real answer. No new files have dropped. You can find the truth yourself, and it takes seconds. And they know that, so they're relying on you just being too lazy and too blind and too much of a sheep so they can just feed you things and have you believe them without bothering to check. So they can just lie and say that Pam Bondi just unleashed the nuke on Epstein. All of it's right there, and it's only Democrats. Look at that. Backfired bigly. And you won't bother to check it yourself. It's craziness, and it sucks that it works so well. If you do bother to do any amount of actual research on the Epstein files, you'll find it's more than just Democrats. It's Democrats and it's Republicans. It's a ton of the world's most powerful people that have engaged in some of the most unthinkable, evil actions imaginable. And these monsters, these fucking worms, treat it like a joke. CoffeeZilla just made a video on it. Howard Lutnick in particular, he's always busting a gut laughing anytime Epstein's even brought up.
I am increasingly disgusted by the way this is all a big joke to liars like Howard Lutnick, who deceive the American
he's just
public
laughing.
about the
He
status
laughs
of his
about the
relationship with
Epstein
Jeffrey
files.
Epstein.
It's so funny to him.
I wasn't going.
Now he testifies under oath that he actually went to the island of the creep and brought his kids.
We had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children.
Nevertheless, every time Epstein is brought up, this guy can't stop chuckling. Here's Lutnick laughing again when Trump is addressing a question about Epstein.
To talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation.
I don't know. I could ask you that question.
He thinks it's the funniest thing he's ever heard. And maybe it's because they really think we are buying it. Maybe it's because they think, hey, we're just going to get away with this. We can just keep, the lies are so brazen.
They are literally laughing in your face about it. They know they're getting away with it. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. It's just so brazen, like CoffeeZilla said. And then you have people like Alex Jones that are just parroting that same shit, like, everyone's absolved except for the people we don't like. And also, by the way, even if it was only the people you don't like that are implicated here and guilty, why aren't they being arrested? Ask yourself that question. Why aren't the people like Bill Clinton being arrested? Why is nobody getting arrested for the Epstein files? I know I've already said this, but even if the only people that were guilty in here are the people you personally don't like, why wouldn't Trump and this administration be going fucking full throttle, whole hog at them, trying to throw them in the slammer? Food for thought, I suppose. Perhaps it's because they know if they went down, it would put them at risk too, because it's not just the people you don't like. You are just so focused on the ones you don't like that you'll block out all of the other shit. You will not use your own fucking brain. Now, another big thing that's come out that it seems like a lot of mainstream media and a lot of Twitter personalities refuse to speak on is Epstein's potential ties to Israel. It's very weird. Yet no one really...
Yeah, he kind of I actually watched this yesterday. He does go on a weird Israel tangent about Epstein being related to Israel, but I just thought that was interesting to let you guys see what the common population is kind of feeling about all of this. But I do have to get out of here. But I will be on tomorrow, where I am going to be on here for a while. So if that interests you guys, make sure to like and subscribe so you can get the update. I'll be having my podcast R&R tomorrow as well, so make sure to stay in tune for that. But I do have to get out of here. I didn't quite realize the time. I apologize, guys. But I will be getting out of here. Let me play the music. Thank you guys so much for the support, by the way. We've been absolutely killing it. You know, if you guys ever want to share the channel, that's pretty rad too. But I'm going to be getting out of here. Sorry, I was a little off kilter today since we were supposed to do this at the podcast, but it got moved to tomorrow. So I didn't quite have everything here that I wanted to, but I appreciate you guys stopping by. I really do. Good work today. See you tomorrow. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, I'm going to get out of here though, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.